Yo, what's going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. Wait, happy Tuesday. I'm not going to be on here for too long unless Speed and Drew want to carry on the show a little further. But so a lot of people are saying that David Benavidez is no longer the Mexican monster, that he was exposed, or that Alexander Volsdik exposed him. People will go on further and state that Alexander Volsdik actually beat David Benavidez. Apparently, he beat David Benavidez with those Peter Pan punches that he was throwing. You know, I don't know, guys. Maybe you guys see it that way as well. I didn't. I saw it pretty much how the judges had it. 10 rounds to 2, 11 rounds to 1. I'm not going to reward that type of performance for an aging fighter in Alexander Volsdik. Know what I mean? Like I tried to tell you guys before, it's not that good. He's never been that good. A lot of people gave him way too much credit for his performance against Adonis Stevenson. Regardless, a lot of people were unimpressed with David Benavidez. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I'm all right. I did click it. So a lot of people were unimpressed with David Benavidez. And a lot of people people assume that he's food for Canelo Alvarez. Well, if that's the case, if he's no longer the Mexican monster, if he's no longer this perceived threat to Canelo, and if he never was, then Canelo cannot demand $200 million for this fight. If he's easy pickings for Canelo, let's have that fight next. Period. I would like David to fight Jaime Munguia, because every single time that I see David come into this ring, there's always a new wrinkle that he's adding to his performance, to his game. And I'm extremely impressed by what I see. Every single fight, the more I see him, I'm like, this dude is growing. Rightfully so. He's not even at his peak. He's picking the brains of a lot of these legends, Hall of Famers, whether they were the best in the amateurs like Guillermo Rigondeaux, Roy Jones Jr., etc. David is now getting into that mold where he's learning from his mistakes. He's much more disciplined, though there's much more room for growth. There's a lot of stock to buy in David. You know what I mean? Anyway, so because of David is no longer this perceived threat towards Canelo based on his last performance against Alexander Volsdik, hopefully Canelo fights him next. I got 2 questions I want to ask. When Canelo would spar Alexander Volsdik, he's one of Canelo's main sparring partners, Volsdik is, and there's a reason for that. So my question is, does Canelo dominate Alexander Volsdik when they spar? Right? Dominate. Because that's what David did. And that's what Alexander Volsdik stated when they sparred X amount of years ago. That's what David did to him. Dominated. So I'm curious to see if Canelo dominated Alexander Volsdik. Right? So that's one of my first questions. And my second question to you guys is, were you guys impressed with the performance of David Benavidez against Alexander Volsdik? I said that I was, and I'm going to tell you why. I know what David is, and I know what he isn't. One, he's not this Tank Davis or even a high knockout artist like Canelo Alvarez. He doesn't have that one-punch power in either one of those hands. David's best asset is his volume, right, and his hand speed. Ever since he fought guys like Porky Medina, Ronald Ellis, it's evident that it's his volume and it's his hand speed. It's never been those one-punch knockouts that he did against Demetrius Andrade. That's never been David Benavidez' game. It's been body shots, uppercuts, flurries, that little, Street Fighter, Ryu punches, and his hand speed. He never gets tired. That's where the name Mexican Monster comes from, right? It's never been about knocking people out and putting people to sleep. I don't think David Benavidez has ever slept anybody. Not the way Tank does it. He's never slept anybody. He didn't sleep Kyron Davis. He didn't sleep Anthony Durrell, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade. David Benavidez doesn't sleep people, right? He overwhelms them. He walks them down. He takes punches and he's breaking you down slowly, and he starts to take away your fighting spirit and your will. That's David Benavidez's game. Now, I don't think he can take the fighting spirit of Canelo Alvarez. You know, Canelo is extremely experienced, quality puncher, beautiful punch placement, digs to the body, an amazing chin, right? If Triple G couldn't knock out Canelo, I don't expect David to either. The only thing that I was extremely unimpressed with David was I knew that he was going to have problems carrying his power over to the weight at 175. And I knew Alexander Volstik was going to balloon north of 200 pounds. I knew he was going to be bigger than David. But one of the things that I didn't like about David was he was overcommitting to his punches, looping. He was trying to overcompensate for the lack of punching power. And I'm like, damn, David, chill, bro, relax. Anyway, so now that we know that David, or a lot of people assume that he's no longer this Mexican monster, well, guess what? Hopefully Canelo lowers down his asking price, something much more believable, and that fight happens sooner rather than later. If I'm David's management team, Sam Lukowicz and company, I'm still shooting for Jaime Munguia first before Canelo Alvarez. You get what I'm saying? Like, I want to see David get much more experience against fighters that actually are going to fight back. There's not a lot of fighters that David has faced that actually have fought him back, that have pushed him backwards, that have dug to his body, right? Jaime is going to do that, right? David Morrell will do that. Edgar Berlanga might do that. So those are the type of fights that I want to see David before he faces Canelo. The sooner those fights happen for David Benavidez's career, the more he's going to be prepared for Canelo. And that still might not be enough, just because we acknowledge that Canelo is this great fighter. And if a guy like Dimitri Bivol couldn't knock out Canelo, I don't see how David could, unless he throws some body shots and some uppercuts, which are two traits that people never seem to do when fighting Canelo Alvarez. They rarely throw uppercuts and they rarely attack Canelo to the body. It's crazy. Alexander Usyk, he pretty much is going to retire from the heavyweight division. You know, he's being stripped of few of his titles, or I think he's relinquishing it. And I don't think he's going to rematch Tyson Fury. If he does, Fury is not going to be able to become undisputed, right? So Usyk just does this little quick pit stop at the heavyweight division, beats all the top fighters there essentially, and goes, you know what? I'm not going to retire, but I am going to go down to cruiserweight all over again. Damn, that's crazy. I've never seen somebody do that, where they dominate one of the premier or very popular divisions to only go back down at a smaller weight class filled with essentially no big names. I think the biggest name there at cruiserweight might be Jay Opataya. Could be Bivol or Artur Beterbiev if they were to move up. There's Zurdo Ramirez, and honestly, ain't nobody beating Usyk at cruiserweight. As we know, probably nobody is beating him at heavyweight. But I just want to acknowledge Alexander Usyk because he accomplished what essentially Vasily Lomachenko was supposed to do, right? Usyk has actually gotten the benefit of the doubt when it comes down to close decisions, right? Like a Derek Chisora, not a Gassiev, but what was the other Russian name that fought Jay Opataya twice? Brady's. That fight was extremely close. All of these close decisions that Usyk has gotten in terms of the benefit of the doubt, Vasily Lomachenko hasn't gotten that opportunity. Or Loma doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, but Usyk has. I was extremely perplexed and actually confused that that the judges didn't have Lomachenko beating Devin Haney. That's one of those fights that, and one of the fight decisions in terms of the results, that still confuses me to this day. It's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't really understand it. The Mexican G goes, "Que huele raza?" What's going on, my friend? My friend. Yes, Benavides is a volume puncher. Usyk is a chump. Wow! He says Usyk is a chump. How? How is Usyk a chump? Hold on, let me log into this other computer so I can read the comments and not have to flip-flop back and forth. How is Usyk a chump, man? Explain yourself, the Mexican G. I like to hear this point of view. Hold on. Google. Boom. If I go add accounts, he said Alexander Usyk is a chump. Wow. That's blasphemy, man. Let me see. Okay, so I have to. All right, so we're here. Go boom, boom. All right. Alexander Usyk is a chump. Hold on, let me highlight that comment. I don't like the Ukrainian. We have given them too much money. But I don't think so, man. I just think Saudi Arabia overpaid for those fights, or else Tyson Fury wasn't going to happen. Like, Tyson Fury is a businessman, right? He's a businessman. He's not really going to fight these guys for pennies on the dollar. If Turki Al-Sheikh didn't put up that money, right? If he didn't pull up that money, we were never going to get that undisputed fight. Tyson Fury is not interested, never was interested in fighting Alexander Usyk. Fury probably wanted Anthony Joshua and all of these fighters way before that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so, man. Wait, tengo moquillo, bro. I don't like the Ukrainian. We have given them too much money. He's responsible for my damn gas prices increase. What does Usyk have to do with that, though, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does he have to do with that? Like, Usyk is not precedent. Hold that energy towards Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko. He's actually, like, I don't know, a politician over there in his home state. Usyk is just like one of the ambassadors, the heart and spirit, the face of the gladiators, He's responsible for my damn, and that's Joe Biden. He's responsible. American politics are responsible, right? Elon Musk is responsible. He gave them the Stargate Wi-Fi over there. They're responsible. You know what I mean? Not Usyk, man. You can't hold that anger towards Usyk. But yeah, man. I don't know if you're from California, the Mexican G, but fucking gas prices are expensive. Check this out. Where I'm from in Salinas, gas prices had always been like $1 or $2 cheaper than San Francisco. We have damn near matching gas prices of San Francisco. If San Francisco's gas prices were $6, $7, $5, in Salinas, that shit was like $3.45. All of a sudden, the fucking gas pump here's $5 too. Sometimes even $6 if I go to Shell or Chevron for Techron, bro. It's crazy. Man, I'm having bad internet. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Darn it, man. What the fuck is going on? It's unfortunate. They got to pay us back. They better send me some Ukrainian bitches. Argentina is playing. Messi, Vince Vargas. Meant to say salute to you guys, man. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully everything is going well. I meant to say Usyk better bring me back some bitches, he says. Hold on, man. I have bad internet, so let me see. I don't mind watching Argentina. I love watching Argentina play football. It's good stuff. Yeah, dude. What in the world is going on? It's shitty ass internet, bro. Can't believe it. Ah. Man, I don't know what's going on with the internet, but Alexander Usyk, man. I'm extremely I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, right? Because I wish that he still campaigned at the heavyweight division. Now he did beat the most popular fighters out there. And he started by knocking out Tony Bellew, fought Chisora. I think he fought right after Chisora, Anthony Joshua, essentially twice, right? And then Tyson Fury. Had a couple of fights, and then boom, undisputed. Maybe I'm missing a fight or two here. Let me check out his box rec real quick. Oleg Usyk box rec. Let me see. Damn, in 22 fights, he became undisputed twice. Yeah, he knocked out Tony Bellew, fought Chaz Witherspoon, Derek Chisora, Joshua. Oh, yeah, Daniel Dubois, and then Tyson Fury. Damn. Interesting, man. I don't know why he would be interested in going down to cruiserweight, though. I know that he said that he feels bloated. He also said that during camp, he has to eat a lot of food just to maintain weight. Because as he says, that he's a small guy, and he would like to no longer be having to do that stuff while he's going through his training session, right? Which I find it really interesting. So if Alexander Usyk were to go down to cruiserweight, right? These are the top 5 fighters at that weight class, according to BoxRec. They have Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez as the number 1, 2 Chris Billiam Smith, 3 Jai Opataya, 4 Richard Riakporhe, 5 Ryan Rozicki, 6 Michael Shislak. I don't even know, bro. And then number 8, Mercedes Brady's. None of those guys can beat Alexander Usyk. So it's very strange for me why Oleg, none of those are big money fights. And right? So from a business standpoint, Usyk is a hot name. His stock is continuous to increase. You know, he's coming out in movie deals with, you know, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and he's moving down to cruiserweight. See, that doesn't make any sense to me, man. Right? The Mexican G goes, you got T-Mobile? Their service has been shitty this week. Yeah, bro, I do have T-Mobile, man. It's been horrible for a really long time, right? But I mean, I have basically 3 computers right here, right? I got my laptop, my phone and my laptop are working, but my desktop right here, where I usually read the chat and I can interact with you guys while I mirror my laptop computer so you guys can see like the pictures or whatever or the video. But on my computer, it's bad. I don't know, bro. It just kind of sucks. So it's more of the Wi-Fi, not so much like my ability to make calls on the phone. I don't know, dude. It's ridiculous. But yeah, they got to step up the game, man, because they charge you a shit ton of money, and their service sucks. And we have great weather. You know, I can understand if it's cloudy or rainy or there's a fucking storm, but it's beautiful, nice, sunny side California weather, man. So I don't really understand it. Going back to Usyk, so his stock has blossomed. It's all over. I mean, this guy's number 1 pound for pound, you know, generating money left and right. And he wants to go down to cruiserweight, right? Where there's no big fights, where he's already became a champion, undisputed, beat everybody. Why don't you rematch Anthony Joshua? Why don't you fight for a 3rd time? I mean, it's not that you need you beat him decisively for 24 rounds, but you can have the rematch with Joshua, rematch with Tyson Fury. Supposedly they're supposed to fight in December. He can fight Andy Ruiz. He can knock out, you know, Deontay Wilder. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you don't beat these guys because of your size or your power. You beat them just because you're better. Better footwork. You have volume. You hit hard enough. You don't have to weigh 230 pounds. Weigh 215. You'll be all right. But this guy wants to fight Zurdo Ramirez, Mercedes, Brady's, Jaya Potaya for essentially peanuts, you know? It's very interesting, man. He's like 37, 38 years old. That's the type of behavior that I respect Alexander Usyk. You see what I'm saying? Because I always felt that fighters, if they campaign at a weight class and are dominating well, why don't you, instead of moving up, go actually down? You know, like for example, I don't want to see Canelo move up to 175. If you already dominated 168, actually try to go dominate 160. Be undisputed at a smaller weight class. Right now, usually it's, counterproductive. You might say, you'd be like, no, as you age, it's harder to cut weight. You're going to weaken yourself. It's naturally the progression to go up. But put it like this, Oscar Valdez, if you can fight and compete against these dudes at 130, you might just become undisputed at 127, at 126. Right? I mean, you're not that big of a guy, and you're still being able to go the distance at 130. Imagine what you can accomplish at 126. Oscar Valdez would probably beat Venado Lopez. He possibly can beat Espinoza. Possibly not. Right? So when you look at it, it's like, look at Vasily Lomachenko. Okay, you tried to become undisputed at 135. Go back down to 130. I guarantee you will dominate Oscar Valdez. I guarantee you will dominate Oshaki Foster. You would beat that guy that beat Joe Cordina. Stop campaigning at one single weight class where you can't dominate or you come up short. The Mexican G goes, Andy Ruiz would mop the floor with Usyk. You know what? I might just agree with you. I think that would be Alexander Usyk's one of his toughest fights. I think, that would be one of Usyk's toughest fights. Now, Usyk could win by making it boring if he decided to like jab, touch, and move around like Shakur Stevenson, so he can clearly outbox Andy Ruiz. But if he were to sit there and, try to throw a bunch of flurries, Andy Ruiz counterpunching ability skills, it'd be fantastic. But if he was just trying to get the W by any means necessary, like Anthony Joshua did in the rematch, well then, Usyk would probably win all 11 rounds. Brandon Valdez, this guy that right here that's fighting my native person from Salinas, right? In my native cities. I don't know. Brandon Valdez right here. I believe he's Colombian.
Luis Alberto El Venado Lopez. He beat him early on in his career in May of 2019. So he has a path.
The reason I bring up Brandon Valdez is I didn't know too much about him up until he fought Ruben Villa and he had fought Robeisy Ramirez. Brandon Valdez is fighting on the undercard of Robeisy Ramirez, I believe on Friday, and he's fighting this undefeated 11-0, 11 knockouts fighter. And I think Brandon Valdez can win that fight. This guy has really good skills, and I was extremely impressed by essentially all of his performances, even when he loses. This is going to be this prospect that's 11-0, his first quote-unquote test. Bro, what is up with my internet, bro? I believe he's fighting a guy named Yan Rivera, who's 11-0 with 11 knockouts, right? 23, 24 years old. His name might not be Yan Rivera, but hold on, man. Yan Santana. He's this young Dominican fighter, 23, 22, 24 years old, 11 wins, 11 by knockouts. But he hasn't fought anybody that's essentially has any skills. He's been fighting guys that the Pelucas of the world, where he's supposed to go in there, dominate, and get a high knockout ratio. This is Yan's first fight that's actually a real fight that could potentially, where he can potentially lose, right? He might not get the knockout. Now, for those that don't know who Yan Santana is, he's a pretty good fighter. He's one of those like Edwin de los Santos fighters that come from the Dominican Republic, and they're big, they're strong, they're fast, they got great boxing IQ. Whoever is training these Dominican fighters, they're doing a great fucking job of doing so, right? Because when they come over and they establish themselves here in California, here in the United States, they come here with the intent of hurting and going after the KOs. That's one of the things that I like about that school right now that's influencing their boxers. And when they come over, they look they look great. I'm extremely excited by him, by these Dominicans or Panamanians with Brandon Valdez and especially Edwin de los Santos. Now again, maybe Jan Santana, this young Dominican with 11-0, with essentially 100% knockout ratio, maybe he pieces apart Brandon Valdez. Like he's a two-handed fighter. He's got speed. He's got IQ. He stays calm and composed. But Brandon Valdez is really good, man. Yeah, yeah. That's the mad Mexican over there, Warp Speed, screaming at the Ruben Villa in attendance. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, the Mexican G goes. Ruiz is heavy and he has quick hands. Ooh, caught him. Yeah, he caught him with a jab. Yeah, man, that would be a great fight. That's why I'm kind of perplexed that Alexander Usyk would leave the heavyweight division. You know, it makes sense that he would, you know, relinquish a few of the titles because it's just so difficult when you become undisputed to have 4-3 mandatory defenses. It's extremely difficult. It really makes no sense. But be that as it may, man, I just don't find it realistic for why he would do that. Like I said, there's a lot of money left on the table for him just to look elsewhere. But again, I could be wrong. But look, guys, let me do something real quick here, and I'll be right back. Yo, my bad, guys. My bad. Had to do something really quick. The Mexican G goes, you got T-Mobile? No, I read that one. He might be in a wheelchair, but that's beside the point. Yo, what? Who might be in a wheelchair? What are you talking about? Brandon Valdez or the Nah, man. So Brandon Valdez is fighting, right? And I'm extremely impressed with him. He's one of those like Gabriel Rosado fighters. Hold on, man. Did I unmute myself? Yeah. He's one of the Gabriel Rosado fighters that are always going to test a fighter. And, you know, in another world, if Brandon Valdez plays his cards right, he might have a career like Venado Lopez, where he has the experience of fighting guys early in his career, like Robeisy Ramirez, and back-to-back, you know, Ruben Villa and all of these fighters, where Brandon Valdez can have like a second backhand career and boom, just surprise like a prospect like Venado did with Gabriel Flores and just go on a tear. Brandon Valdez has that IQ, speed, and power. And he's got a little bit of a chin. And he's mentally focused, even if the game plan isn't going his way and he's getting caught with some shots. I'm extremely impressed with him. And I think he can upset this young 11-0 prospect in Jan Santana. It's going to be very interesting, man. It's going to happen on this weekend's fights of the top rank. Robeisy Ramirez, you know, he's fighting a decent fighter when you look at his resume, but I always think about it like this: being consistent. I always harp on that term. You got to be consistent day in and day out. Robeisy Ramirez is no longer a champion. He's coming off, you know, a defeat. Can he bounce back? Sonny Edwards is also in the same predicament after having a cut and being blattered and blasted, right, by Bam Bam Rodriguez. He's going in there and fighting this guy named Adrian Curiel, who's a decent little fighter, right? Because, again, you guys have to understand is this. A lot of these guys are all beatable. You know, maybe you eat some bad meat. Maybe you eat some uncooked tilapia or pasta, and you got the runs and the shits, and it weakens you fight night. You know, you can have a bad weight cut and feel very lethargic come, you know, fight night. You know, none of these guys are perfectionists. And every one of these guys single-handedly could get defeated, right? Robeisy Ramirez, Ruben Villa, Navarrete, Bam Bam Rodriguez. All of these guys could get defeated. It's just going to be by whom, right? So yes, Sonny Edwards showed a lot of heart, resolve, and some skill, and actually a lot of pop, and that he's willing to dish it out coming forward in the pocket against Bam Bam Rodriguez, because we know Sonny can run around and circle out. But as Bam Bam was amazing with his jab, and he was outboxing from a distance and afar and popping Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards had to bite down on the mouthpiece and engage with the Mexican, because he wasn't going to do it from the outboxing ability. He tried it, and he wasn't better than Bam Bam. His best shot was trying to knock out Bam Bam. Well, anyway, Sonny Edwards coming off that defeat, not undefeated, such a quick turnaround about the shellacking of the what he suffered against Bam Bam, and he might lose this weekend. He's favored, obviously, but I'm just saying, to be consistent is not an easy thing to do time and time and again. There's only a few fighters that can be consistent on a, I don't know, a month, week to week basis, day to day basis. And usually in order to do so by incredible fashion, you got to cherry pick. A lot of these fights aren't cherry pickers that are coming up, right? Man, bro, what is up with my internet, bro? This is crazy. The Mexican G goes, Sonny Edwards looks like a golem. Yeah, man, he's a funky looking guy, ain't it? Yeah, he's, you know, yeah, he's good though, man. I was rooting for Bam Bam to win by knockout in incredible fashion, and that's exactly what he did. But yeah, man, I became a fan of Sonny because I was like, man, this guy talks a lot for absolutely doing nothing. Like, you can't talk a lot based on how you've been fighting and performing. See, if you're a knockout artist, go for it, Sonny. You at least you got the pop to. But I was like, man, you talk all greasy like Billy Joe Saunders, and you can't knock nobody out. You can't talk like that. And anyway, I was like, oh, okay. After that fight, even though he got pieced apart, I was like, oh, now I see why you talk like that. Anyway, it's a really good, interesting fights happening this weekend on Friday. Man, just stay tuned to it, you know. Also on this Friday, I believe the main event is Teofimo Lopez. He's fighting this Canadian. Look, Teofimo Lopez should win by knockout. But, you know, I'm not saying that this guy that he's fighting, Steve Claggett, is the next, you know, George Kambosos. I just think that was an anomaly. If Teofimo Lopez, after becoming undisputed, fighting Lomachenko, if he can lose to a George Kambosos, then anybody can lose in the sport of boxing in this current climate. The Mexican G goes, I'm a self-proclaimed GOAT of shadow boxing. Hey, bro, you never know, man. You might have some great boxing skills, you know? You might have impeccable boxing skills, and your shadow, you know, might be just right there with you. You know, you can make them miss, make them pay. Shh. We don't know, bro. You might, you know, like, for example, George Kambosos is probably one of the best boxers when it comes down to hitting mitts. Dude's amazing. He's got speed, power. Man, he's banging all those mitts with impeccable combinations. Like, it's great. And then when you see him fight, all of a sudden he tries to do this fucking stupid-ass shoulder roll, get caught in between. Like, man, what are you doing? Man, I am disliking. This is killing my vibe right here with this internet, bro. What in the world? Anyway, man, check out Brandon Valdez's skills. He was doing really good against both fighters. Fucking right, dude.
We don't see a whole lot. We don't see him carrying a whole lot of power in this weight class for Robesi. I believe this is his first fight at 120. Valdez is cornered by Estrellita Hassel. Maybe come out and be more aggressive, as we can see.
Right, and look at Jan Santana.
Esperando el momento perfecto para soltar esas manos y concuerdo con Papu. Entiendo que esta pelea no debe llegar a la distancia. Sí, Santana está siendo muy sigiloso.
Nice body shot.
Lo vimos en la pelea pasada, lo hemos visto.
Nice lead too, right there, taking initiative. Man. Nice sidestep. Uh-oh.
Ahí ya está desconcentrado por la pegada y obviamente por lo incómodo, ¿no? Que es Santana al estar.
Right, you guys see what I'm seeing? Like, this is gonna be a good fight right here. It's almost like a mirror matchup between Brandon Valdez and Jan Santana. and the level of opposition between who Valdez has fought versus Jan Santana.
Push the pressure, push the action, let your hands go, make him think. And he's doing that now.
He's faster and much more polished. I don't know, man. We might have something going on here. Vince Vargas goes, the fight is this Saturday, I think. The takeover. Oh, okay. Yeah, you might be right. That makes sense, man. That's more than likely going to happen this Saturday. Hold on, man. I want to see that Argentina game. But this internet is killing me. Hey, Vince, question for you, brother. Where are you watching the soccer match? Like, is it on Fubo, Tubi, Netflix, Univision? Excuse me. Let me see Copa America. Whack ass internet. Let me ask you guys a quick question. Do you guys think that David Benavidez, after what you guys saw with the performance against Alexander Volstik, do you think he stands a chance against Canelo, or he's still too green? Oh my goodness, bro. What the flip is with this computer? This is crazy. Why did I do that? What the hell did I do? The Mexican Vince Vargas goes, Fubu. Nah, I'm just joking about Fubu. The take back. Yep, the fight is Saturday the 29th. It's on FS1, but I have Xfinity. The Mexican G goes, Benavidez needs more time. Yeah, I agree. I believe that Benavidez still needs more time. I agree. I feel like one or two fights. Okay, so Chile versus Argentina, 0-0. Halftime's about to occur. Vince, do they still have... Oh, man. Fuck, what did I do? Does Chile still have El Rey Arturo? And then do they have the other guy, Alexis Sanchez, playing? I know these guys are a little older, so they might have new faces now, but... But yeah, I've been out of the loop. I haven't really been paying attention to football that much, but yeah, do they still have Alexis Sanchez? I think he was one of their forwards, and then on the left wing was Rey Arturo. He was really good. He used to have like Arturo Vidal. The Mexican G goes, I think Benavidez needs a different coach. His dad got him as far as he possibly could. He needs a veteran trainer like DJ or Robert Garcia. His dad is still learning on the job. Vince Vargas goes, when will Canelo be too old? That's a great question. Man, these are both great statements right here. Vince asks a question, when will Canelo be too old? And the Mexican G goes, great statements, man, from both of you guys. Not sure on their roster. Got you. I'm going to say this. First, Vince, I think Canelo, one of the things people don't realize is, yes, Canelo has 70 fights or 60, close to 60 fights. I'm not too sure. But so that's a lot of wear and tear. But he's done a great job of taking care of his body because he doesn't suffer a lot of punishment in his fights. He's got impeccable defense. And even though, like, let's say Dimitri Bivol put a lot of hands and he threw a lot of punches on Canelo, Canelo parried, blocked, slipped a bunch of them. Canelo's best ability as a boxer is his defense. Besides his counter-punching ability skills, it's not like he has an impeccable jab, though he has a good one. It's not like he has this dynamite right hand like a Wilder hand, though it's very good. He's got a beautiful left hook, but it's his defense. He does not get hit flush. And when he does a beautiful job rolling with the punch, and he makes sure that he doesn't get hit by that same punch often. Right? Also this. Canelo hasn't had a lot of tough fights in his career. The ones that I feel that took a little bit out of Canelo was the Triple G fights, especially the second one. Not so much the first, not so much the third, just the second one. The Cotto fight, it was a good sparring match. The Austin Trout fight, the Erislandy Lara, the Perro Angulo. Like if you look at like the career of Canelo Alvarez does not get hit a lot. I'm sure that his training sessions and camps are much more difficult than almost any of his fights. The only real legitimate fight that Canelo has had in his career was probably Triple G Part 2. His second toughest fight obviously would be Dimitri Bivol, because as you saw, Canelo was gassed. His whole body was turning red and pink. Bivol was putting a lot of pressure, mental pressure and physical pressure. There was so much output. And then Caleb Plant. Those are three out of like those 70 fights that Canelo has had. Those are like the three bona fide legit ones where he's like, you can see that, okay, he's got to really press. He's got to dig deep. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what I've seen. Now, I'm not saying these other fights are fakes, but sure, the Liam Smith fight was a joke. Amir Khan, Julio Cesar Chavez, all of those fights, they're not real fights, right? But those fights that I mentioned, those three of them, yeah, those were legitimate. That's why Canelo has he's had longevity. Not only did he start young at the age of 15 turning pro, but now he's 33. That's 18 years of professional fighting at the elite level, give or take. That's a lot of wear and tear from long duration training camps, right? But his best secret is his amazing defense. Look at the fight against Danny Jacobs. Look at all of his career. Canelo's defense is impeccable. One of the best Mexican defensive boxers of all time. Sure, people are going to say Finito Lopez, Salvador Sanchez, but at the elite level that Canelo has done it, Canelo's number one. He's the best defensive fighter that Mexico has had. Like, I will stand on that. You know, like Salvador Sanchez, you know, he died really fast, relatively quick, but he had really good fights. I think it was with Wilfredo Benitez and Asuma Nelson. But none of those two guys are like on the level of a Triple G, on the level of Dimitri Bivol. I mean, they're up there, but like these guys that Canelo is fighting, those three guys that I mentioned, they're up there. Miguel Cotto, get what I'm saying? So like Canelo's defense is gotta be like on resume and who he's fought and how he goes. It's a different look every single time. He can bounce, he can circle around like he did in Triple G1, but that's not his forte. But it's a wrinkle that he has. If he feels that you are a big-ass perceived puncher, he'll move around. So he might start off doing that against, you know, David Benavidez. I don't know, man. But, yeah, Canelo, so to answer the question, even though I gave like a long-ass answer, Vince, I don't know when Canelo will be, quote-unquote, too old. I think Canelo, like how he stated, I think he has 4 more years in him. Like, I think Bud Crawford's 36 years old, right? 35 through 37, Bud Crawford. If Bud is still competing and moving the way he is doing so with his legs, why can't Canelo do that at that same age? You see, Bud Crawford gets hit more than Canelo Alvarez does. And he doesn't have nowhere near the resume of a Canelo Alvarez, right? Bud Crawford was getting hit by Sean Porter. Bud Crawford was getting touched by Mean Machine. You get what I'm saying? He didn't really get hit by Felix Diaz. I don't even think so much by Victor Postal, right? But none of those fighters are up there with a fighter like Dimitri Bivol, Triple G. Nowhere near close. And these weaker fighters on Bud's resume were touching Bud Crawford. Like, no disrespect to Sean Porter, but he's not a pound-for-pound fighter. Never has been. Right? So if Bud Crawford at the age of 36 is not out of his prime, I think Canelo can go up to 36, 37 years old. That's when I think he'll be out of his prime. But again, everything is a fight-by-fight basis, a year-by-year basis. You just never know when, like, does Canelo have the same motivation Is he still mentally focused, mentally driven to continue on and embark on this legacy? What is Canelo motivated by? Is it 200 million? Is it being a billion-dollar fighter? Is it about, becoming president of Mexico? Like, what is his motivation by the time he reaches, that question, when is he too old enough? When is he too old? When is the new passing of the buck or the torch, I don't know. It's difficult. Right now, I think Canelo, from what I've seen, got 2-3 more years. What I saw based on that performance against Jaime Munguia, yeah, Canelo's got 2-3 more years. He has more upside still in terms of extensions of his resume or his career, 3-4 more years. Especially if he's only going to be fighting 2 times a year. Remember, a lot of these guys in the past years are fighting 5-6 times a year. Canelo's only fighting once every 6 months, give or take. That has a lot of R&R where you can rest and relax and, get massages and be in the sauna, swim with the fishes. Like, these fighters, get overly compensated. And so the drive isn't as much as the starving dog, right? So I think that's when I don't think Canelo will ever slow down. I think he'll know his body. And when Canelo says, you know what, I'm not motivated anymore by competing and cutting weight, I think that's when you'll be like that. But not saying that Canelo won't lose in the next 4 years. I'm just saying, like, I don't really see anybody knocking out Canelo unless he starts to go up north of 175. Like, I don't think anybody at 168 can knock out Canelo. I'm talking about sleep him. No way. His defense, his chin, his savviness. Like, if Bivol couldn't do it, maybe Artur Beterbiev, but now he's going to be close to 40, much more knee surgery. I don't think so. The Mexican G made an amazing statement. He goes, and I agree with him, I think Benavidez needs a different coach. His dad got him as far as he possibly could. He needs a veteran trainer like Derrick James, Robert Garcia, Ronnie Shields. His dad is still learning on the job. Vince goes, did you watch the Rafael Espinosa versus Chirino? El Divino destroyed him and proved he may be a problem. Yeah, man. I was extremely impressed and continue to do so with Espinosa. We talked about it a little bit before that fight happened, how I just wanted to see if he was going to be consistent. Yeah. Rafael Espinosa is probably the best 126 pounder. Him and Venado Lopez would be an amazing fight. I would love to see it. That 6'1" frame, he can hit and pop with 2 punches. He's got that Navarrete sneaky uppercut from afar. He's going to be a problem for sure. I don't know. First and foremost, I don't even know how he makes 126 pounds when you're damn near 6'2". So congratulations, Rafa, because that's fucking insane. On top of that, he has a lot of power. Man, Espinosa is, I don't know, man. There's not a lot of people, in my opinion, that can beat him. Just like always. What's going on, babe? Yep. I'm talking with the boys. I'm cooking. You know me. I'm hella bad at multitasking. Hold on, let me see. What's going on? Yeah. What? She said yes? No, she didn't. She did? All right, baby. Well, just text me. I'll respond to the text. I don't want monkey bowl or ice cream. I'm good. All right, babe. We can just share one. Bye. Adios. Bye. Love you. Bye. The Mexican G goes, Espinosa is too sloppy. He's got potential, but he makes a lot of mistakes. Yeah, absolutely. Again, we talked about these guys. None of these guys are perfect, right? So I feel like on a day-to-day, fight-to-fight basis, they can all get beaten, right? But they all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. So, yeah, man, Espinosa could get beaten. I'm not too sure who is going to be the guy to beat him and unblemish his undefeated record. Could be Venado. Could be a guy like Mauricio Lara. Who knows? But I'm telling you, with that length, that height, that confidence, going to be difficult. We talked about it. I hope my boy Ruben Villa does not fight Rafa Espinoza. Those guys are going to be tricky for him. Jesus is perfect. Yeah, man, but I think he fell in love with Mary Magdalene, no? Could be wrong. Vince goes, warp speed, man. What's going on, dude? He goes, at the homie Ricky, at Vince, at the Mexican G. Good even fall. Yo, to one and all. The Mexican G, I'll repeat this comment. He says that his father or David Benavidez needs a veteran trainer. I agree. But I will say this. Salute to a lot of these father-trainer boxer relationships. You know, like, don't get me wrong. I believe David would benefit from one of those trainers. I would like him to be with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach is a volume, over-aggressively trainer. That's who I think would enhance David Benavidez' strength and be much more dynamic with his output of punches. But Jose Benavidez Sr., he's done a great job with David and Jose, his son, to take him as far as he's done, right? By himself. Teofimo Lopez Sr. as well. He's done a great job making his son a two-time undisputed, right? Danny Garcia's father, Angel, did a great job of having Danny become a champion at 140, unified after Lucas Matisse, and he's never been knocked down or knocked out. Fighting guys like Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. Yeah, Danny fell short, but salute to you. Like, shout out to these dudes. Like, they've done a great job, right? As, I guess, inexperienced or limited that though they are, that is just a father-son relationship, a lot of these trainers haven't been able to find, like, for example, Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields is an amazing trainer. Probably 30 years of experience, has trained up to heavyweights, every single weight class, right? But he has yet to be as dominant of a coach and train one fighter to dominate as much as, like a Teofimo Lopez. Like, he had Jamal, and Erislandy Lara. None of those guys became undisputed under his tutelage, right? But he's developed amazing fighters. Like, he's got a great resume. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Jose Benavidez definitely needs an outside consultant, kind of like Tyson Fury and his father, John Fury. They went on to hire Sugar Hill from the Crunk Boxing Gym. David Benavidez would learn so much from having one of those fighters, like our trainers like Robert Garcia, Derrick James. I would prefer him to go under Freddie Roach. But yeah, absolutely. Everybody has their niche. Everybody has the way how to coach certain fighters. And everybody has a weakness, just like they have their strengths as trainers. A lot of people say that Freddie Roach don't teach defense, etc. Some people overly teach defense like a Virgil Hunter and neglect offense, whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, hopefully David makes that move. But I just feel like they're too, not arrogant, but too proud, right? Too proud to have a different trainer and not have his father there. Because again, that inspiration, that influence, and that motivation of having your father there, knowing that he had to sacrifice so much and chase you around to put you in that gym and never give up on him. See, I think David talked about in his interview, like, his father, Jose, never gave up on him when he was north of 300 pounds, eating hot Cheetos, playing Call of Duty till 3 a.m. and not competing and stuff like that. He never gave up on him, and he always kept, instilling a lot of confidence. Based on that conversation that he had and was giving out people, I don't think David would ever deviate from his father in terms of him being his main instructor. They're smart enough where they do acknowledge that they do need help. Man, my internet be off, huh? It's just killing my vibe, man. But yeah, so I do know when they go ask questions to Anthony Durrell, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Roy Jones Jr., they actually absolutely understand that his father has certain limited experience and understanding of the sport, but they've done a great job this far. The Mexican G goes, his dad can still be in his corner. He just needs a second voice. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully he does add a second team. That's why I was extremely happy when David had Memo Heredia. Now, that's just a sports and strength and nutritionist coach, but I was hoping he would retain him for the rest of his career. Everybody needs a Memo, a Victor Conte, and Alex Ariza in their corner. You just need to. At this level, look, man, especially in boxing, and especially in the amateurs, I think a lot of these guys are juicy. You know, that's just my notion. I feel a lot of these guys are juicing. Now, some of them are great at masking it. Some of them have these amazing chemists in their corner because they would be stupid not to. For example, let's look at Ryan Garcia. Him being suspended for 1 year of boxing, okay, that's a sacrifice that he's willing to take when you can generate 50 million in 2 fights. You give me those fucking odds. I'll juice. If I'm only gonna get suspended for 1 year, but you gave me a Tank Davis and a Devin Haney fight when I generate probably 20 million per fight, 40 million total, I'll take that. 1 year of 10 years of hardcore boxing, I'll take those odds if I'm gonna generate that much money. Tyson Fury, he got caught with Klitschko. He got suspended for 1 or 2 years, give or take, came to America. Look how much money he's generated, right? Suspend me for 2 years if I'm going to box for the next 15 years of my life. Canelo Alvarez, clenbuterol. Now, mind you guys, these are just drugs that these fighters get caught with, okay? Getting caught with. It's not that they haven't been doing it before. It's just that today, you guys finally got caught. So, if I've been going to Winchell's and I'm an employee of Winchell's and I get caught stealing one donut, what about the other 100 times you never caught me? I was too slick, right? Anyway, that's just the way I look at it, man. They need to get some Glecha from an OG. Glecha. That's a little over my head, man. I don't know what that means. All right, let me see. I talked about Usyk, Brandon Valdez, David Benavidez, and Canelo. There was one fighter I wanted to talk about. Oh, Terrence Bud Crawford, right? So I was hoping Speed would hop on, but I think he's playing baseball with his boy, so I'm not too sure if they're still outside. But Terrence Bud Crawford's trainer, Bo McIntyre, Brandon McIntyre, I don't care, right? But Bo McIntyre's manager and trainer, or one of Terrence Bud Crawford's trainers, he said that as they're studying and watching and preparing for the fight against a prospect that's a champion, I forgot his name, Ismail Madrimov, the Mexican, he goes, I can't stand Crawfish. I want to see his downfall. Look, man, I like Errol Spence. I'm an Errol Spence fan, but I've also been a Bud Crawford fan. Ever since his days at 135, that performance that he had against Yuriorkis Gamboa, one of my favorite fights. I love watching. I can't say that I want to see his downfall, but he might lose to Madrimov. All right. I think Madrimov right now is a little too green. He might have the experience. He was Bivol's main sparring partner in preparation for Canelo Alvarez. Now, let me tell you, when you are a fighter's main sparring partner. So it goes like this, right? If Bivol is preparing for Canelo Alvarez and Madrimov is his main sparring partner, that means Madrimov can emulate, right, Canelo's fighting style. Short, stocky, he fits that prototype. Now, that doesn't mean just because I can emulate boxing like Canelo that I hit as hard as him, that I'm going to have the same punch selection as him. No, but it means that I'm a poor man's version of him, right? So if Madrimov is preparing Bivol for a Canelo fight, that lets me know that Madrimov can take a punch, Madrimov has defense, and Madrimov can compete with guys at 175 and higher. Because Bivol, when he's fighting and sparring Madrimov, he's not at weight, he's probably like 191 pounds. So that lets me know that Madrimov, and respectively, Madrimov is probably 168, 172 pounds, while he's sparring Bivol, who's at 200 pounds, right? So that lets me know that Madrimov is going to be, if the rumors are true, Bud Crawford's going to be in a fucking fight. It's going to be in a real legitimate fight. Another Igas Klimas fight. Another Green Machine Kavalauskas type of fight where he might get touched. He might get dropped. But Bud Crawford is very smart, very tough, very strong. And Bud Crawford, I'm not going to say Bud Crawford is chinny, but when he does get touched, he wobbles, he smiles, and he's going to be tough. So this is gonna be a really good fight. And remember, a lot of the time is the guys that you don't know always surprise you and give you tough fights. We don't know much about Madrimov. I believe a fighter who's 10-0 is a prospect. You know, I don't care if Vasily Lomachenko is on a fast pace. You're 2-0. You're 1-1. I feel like you're still a prospect. We haven't seen you enough times in 12-round fights and against top quality opposition, right? That's why I can't really say that Madrimov can beat or is the guy to beat Bud Crawford, but he's going to be in a fight. And Bo McIntyre, he acknowledges that he's going to be in a tough fight against Madrimov. It's going to be really interesting, man. Clecha is a Chicano prison / gang term for education, like education, but mixed with flecha, arrow combined. It means something like straight education. So they need to get some clecha from an OG. Okay, got you. Yeah, so sabiduría. I will hop on soon. Allow me to make it home. I'm on my way now. So yeah, the Mexican G. I do not know if Ismail Madrimov is the man to beat Bud Crawford, but I think he is the man to show the world that Bud Crawford is not untouchable, right? Because we got to give Bud Crawford his flowers, right? He's been going and he's been flying under the radar for far too long. But let's make no mistake about it. You also, by that same token, have to give Errol Spence his respect for essentially popularizing and showing the whole world of Bud Crawford's skill set. Because Errol Spence could have walked away from this fight after Bud walked away from it first. Errol Spence, to his arrogance, to his proudness, to his detriment, overstayed at 147 for far too long and gave Bud Crawford all of the advantages of having a tune-up, of letting him get bigger at a weight class when he should have taken Bud Crawford first before Kell Brook and all of these guys. It would have been much more competitive. He had no upside, but he stuck to his word that I'm going to take care of my side of the block, all of these fighters, and then I'm going to fight you last. Right? But Errol Spence could have walked away and Bud Crawford would have never became undisputed at 147 had Errol been like, you know what, can't make 147. I'm going to relinquish these belts. Bye-bye. But because of Errol Spence's arrogance and just that fighting spirit of being a man of his word, he said, nah, I'm still going to fight this dude. I don't care. Give this dude transparency. Actually, let's talk about that. Transparency. I'm going to go to two different topics here. So one of the things that Bud Crawford didn't like about that contract when he first walked away to fight David Avanesian, he was saying that he wanted transparency. He wanted PBC to open up the books and the negotiations to see where that back-end money is coming from, right? This is supposedly one of the things that was at a standstill in terms of the opening the preliminary negotiations of Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford, is that the term transparency. And we just heard about a month ago or 3 weeks ago too, I don't know, that Ryan and Devin Haney have asked Golden Boy and DAZN, where is the rest of my money? According to Eddie Hearn, he says that they have already been paid. They're guaranteed. Also, Oscar has said this, and that the pay-per-view money comes on the back end, right? It's not something that you get in escrow instantly. Only your guaranteed purse. So I gotta ask myself, did Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia ask for transparency when it comes down to that? Because that's one of the things that I don't understand is how after, I don't know, a month or two, close to 3, that you haven't received all the funds of a fight in terms of the upside of the pay-per-view revenue. Why does it take so long for these numbers to be relinquished? You know what I'm saying? Like, the fight already happened on Saturday night. Shouldn't almost by 24 hours or 48 hours, shouldn't you already know what the pay-per-view numbers look like? Because to my knowledge, once the pay-per-view event ends, I don't think you can quote unquote buy the pay-per-view on a Monday or on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday. I don't even think you can buy the pay-per-view the next following day. So why does it take so much, so like the duration for me to receive my full compensation 2-3 months after the fact? Like, what is this term transparency? Like, that's one of the things, like, how does that work? That's one of the things that I never quite understood when it comes down to fighters, banking in on pay-per-view, but then they complain about not getting paid. Chile versus Argentina, the score is 0-0 on the 77th minute live. I don't know, man. We might have a new, maybe Team USA can win it in the next 2 years. The War Speed goes, yes, you can, the homie. What do you mean? You can buy the pay-per-view the next following day on a Tuesday? I don't know, man. I've actually never tried to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never really paid interest of buying the pay-per-view on a Monday, 2 days after the fight that happened, Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've just never actually attempted to. But Warp Speed goes, yes, you can. Interesting, man. So, yeah, Bud Crawford versus Madrimov is going to be a very interesting fight. On that August 3rd card, man, you're going to get Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller. You were supposed to get Virgil Ortiz versus Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu, such a quick turnaround with a cut on his gash that he suffered from the elbow of Sebastian Fundora had to pull out. And Virgil is going to be fighting Sergey Bohachuk, the guy who beat Brian Mendoza, on the undercard of Sebastian Fundora versus Tim Tszyu the following weekend on August 10th. So they pulled that fight, and Golden Boy is making that fight stand still by its own as the main event. I don't know if Virgil can win that fight, man. I'll be rooting for Virgil, but the other kid has too much momentum, man. Bohachuk. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, man. Very interesting stuff. I'm liking this year of boxing. I'm saying that 2023 for me was one of my favorite years in the sport of boxing. Excuse me. 2024 is doing a great job rolling with the momentum that boxing gave us last year. They've done a great job of carrying it over to 2024. I'm extremely excited, man. There's a couple of fights that will get me pumped for. I would like to see Tank versus Shaker. I would like to see Loma unify with his countrymen, and then hopefully those guys can fight in December for Undisputed. That would be great. I would like to see the rematch between Fury versus Usyk. That would be amazing. Obviously, Canelo versus David, or David versus Jaime Munguia. The return of Errol Spence against Sebastian Fundora. If that fight actually takes place, shoot. I would like to see Johnny Beck, Alam Kanalai versus Bud Crawford. Since Bud Crawford is on this tear to chase after Canelo, maybe after he beats Madrimov, he moves up to middleweight to fight Johnny Beck, Alam Kanalai. But honestly, if Bud Crawford beats Israel Madrimov, Bud Crawford will most likely fight Carlos Adames and become a champion at middleweight. He already sparred him 8 years ago when Carlos Adames was a welterweight, and Carlos Adames just fought like a week or two against Terrell Gausha, and he looked horrible. I thought Terrell Gausha won. Bud Crawford would become a middleweight champion. I doubt Bud Crawford looks to become undisputed and fight Johnny Beck, Alam Kanalai, but that would be a great fight. But I think after this Madrimov, I don't think Bud Crawford's going to linger at 154 for too long. He's going to move up to 60, fight Carlos Adames, and then probably look to fight Canelo. I don't know. We'll see. The only man that can stand on this way is Turki Al-Sheikh. If he offers Canelo, dude, I'll give you 150 million guarantee if he fight Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford gets a guarantee of 50 to 70 million. I mean, those two dudes aren't going to walk away. The Mexican G goes, 2023 was a great year for boxing. I agree. We had Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. We had Arrow versus Bud. Canelo Alvarez in Mexico. We had Jaime Munguia versus the Russian Sergey Derenchenko. Amazing fight. We had Luis Neri versus Azat Hovhannisyan. Amazing fight in February. January, you had Roman Villa upset Rashidi Ellis, right? Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, two undefeated fighters, right? You had Naoya Inoue knocking out Stephen Fulton, Naoya Inoue versus Marlon Tapales. Man, that's Tim Tszyu, 3 fights with Tony Harrison, Ocampo, and Brian Mendoza. Bro, 2023 was impeccable, man. I love that. Fury versus, I don't even know who Fury fought that year. Then there was Usyk versus Joshua, if I'm not mistaken. Bro, 2023 was a fucking masterful year. The best year for me as a boxing fan. It was incredible. Every weight division had an amazing fight. Junto Nakatani knockout performance versus the Maloney brother. It was like, bam, boom. Dude, amazing. Oi, you said 2023. Yeah, 2023 was great. Benavidez versus Plant. Shoot. Bro, man, all of those fights were great. The Mexican G goes, so basically, greetings from Salinas. Adi goes, greetings from the depths of hell. Fulio says, hi, man. How that disc record go, bro? You know, I heard that you were, you know, you spent $1,000 in the studio cooking up. You know, you got a little sample. So basically, greetings from Salinas. Nah, man, Salinas has the best weather in the United States. You know, according to like the Atlantic, they stated that we have one of the best weathers for, like, I don't know, less pollution. Beautiful weather here. It's very fresh, tropical, never too hot, never too cold, just downright perfect. I know this because BlackRock or Vanguard, they have called me 2 or 3 times through text. Well, I guess that's not a call, right? But they've DM'd me. They've texted me, hey, man, are you interested in selling your corner house? No, dude. No. You know, I keep telling them 1.5 million because, you know, I told them, yeah, we got a new roof. We did new paint job. We have new carpet, X, Y, and Z. We have a built-in sauna, which is none of it is true. And they just kind of like ponder it. So if BlackRock is interested or Vanguard is interested in buying these properties and make, you know, these farmers here, you know, become renters, then I know Salinas is actually heaven. It's beautiful, man. The Mexican G goes, Chales, bro. I'm from Southern California. It's been hot lately. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm actually waiting right now for summer, bro. Like, we have not had summer. The hottest days so far in this quote-unquote summer, maybe it's not summertime yet, but, like, it's just 74 degrees has been the hottest for us all year. It's crazy, bro. Like, it's been like, it'll be hot for like 2 hours, and then right now it'll be like 56 degrees and cloudy. What? I've been sweating in my sleep. Look, dude. I sweat, man. Period. I don't care if it's cold. I'll still be hot. You know, I just run warm. But still, man, like I don't think we've hit 80s this year so far here in like the Monterey Bay, Salinas area. I mean, we haven't. And where we live is supposed to be one of the hotter places in according to, like, I mean, look, guys, the beach is 15 minutes away. The closest beach, 12, 15 minutes away. So we get that mist, we get that fog from the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific Ocean in the water is one of the coldest waters that you can have of all the, like, the 6 oceans, from the Arctic, the Atlantic, you know, the Indian Ocean, the whatever, you know. I think we have 5 or 6 major oceans. But whatever the case may be, Pacific is one of the most coldest ones, right? So it does get very, like, oh, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, man, we have not had, quote unquote, our summer here. And it's a little bit redonkulous for sure. Like, you know, I want to go to the beach where it's 87 degrees, not freaking cloudy. mean, it's not hard to ask. But it is what it is. Let me see his speed is back. Nope. All right, let me close some of these tabs. Actually, I still don't understand how Navarrete beat Ruben Villa, man. Fuck, bro. I still can't believe that. I still can't understand it. I don't know how 36-year-old and that guy that beat Navarrete just like a month or two ago, I don't know why Ruben couldn't do that, man. I mean, I know the guy's bigger, 135 versus a 126 pounder. But somebody like, not saying that Navarrete doesn't have skills. He's got skills. But like, he's got so much more flaws than his skills. I just couldn't believe it, man. Fucking A, dude. Like, I think Alberto Venado Lopez is better than Navarrete. And Ruben was able to beat Venado, but he couldn't beat Nava. You know what I mean? And Nava dropped my boy twice. One in the first round. Yeah, the Mexican G. Navarrete's last fight was horrible. Southpaw, the dude was outboxing him. The fight was still close because the other guy doesn't really throw a lot of punches, but Navarrete just wasn't hitting. And I don't understand how Navarrete was able to piece apart my boy Ruben, man. I'm like, fuck, dude. I still don't understand it. I'm still perplexed to this day, man. Like when you see this, yeah, man, it's just, he's time. He's still 26, 27 years old. He does have time. But again, amongst his contemporaries, guys that have moved up in weight classes and divisions, that become unified and undisputed, I'm thinking to myself, like, when is Ruben going to get that title shot opportunity? Obviously, he's much closer now than he was 4 or 5 fights ago, because his stock obviously dropped significantly when he lost and got dropped in the bubble by Navarrete. But he's much more closer now to a title shot than he ever was. I just couldn't understand it, how Navarrete could beat him. Like, dude, it is what it is. It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love that. So hopefully, that saying, carries over to the career of Ruben and my boy can become a champion. We'll see. We will see. Let's see. Usyk, Jan Santana. I think he can lose to Brandon Valdez, but won't be easy. Won't be easy. Top rank in these matchmakers. They know how to pick them. They know how to matchmake correctly. Maybe Jan Santana is going to knock out Brandon Valdez, but I don't think so, man. I think if he was able to go 10, 12 hard rounds with Ruben Villa, I think Valdez can do a really great job of pulling the upset. I'll be rooting for him. We'll see. We will see. Look, man, I think that's pretty much all I needed to say. Maybe Speed can add some stuff. I know that he's on his way back home after playing some baseball with his boy. But, yeah, let me see. I talked about Usyk, talked about Brandon Valdez, talked about Canelo and David Benavidez, and then we talked about Terrence Bud Crawford. Am I missing anything, folks? I think that's pretty much about it. What the hell, man? Why do I always click on this shit? Let me see. Let me see. A little Google search real quick. Okay, Alexander Usyk vacates the IBF title ahead of the Joshua Dubois announcements. We talked about that a little bit. War Speed goes about 5 more minutes left. All right, man, I got to carry your conversation. I've been watching a show. I'm going to just deviate from sports boxing talk. I've been watching a show called The Bates Motel. My girl put me on it. I usually don't watch shit like that, right? But this is it's a show. If you guys have seen that movie by Alfred Hitchcock called Psycho, look, I guess that's a cult classic for some folks in terms of the scary movie genre. I'm not a big fan of Psycho. For those that don't know about the movie, I'm going to give you guys a little synopsis, a little log line of it. It's basically this dude that owns a hotel and he spies on the woman through a peephole. All right? Pretty interesting movie. Dude's a voyeur, whatever the case may be. The show The Bates Motel takes that concept and stretches it out and flushes it out. Really good show, whitewashy type of shit, right? Kind of like Breaking Bad. Very good shows, but whitewashy, whatever. Anyway, so I usually don't watch it, but the show does a great job of keeping you intrigued. The Mexican Gigos, horrible movie. Bro, thank you. I agree. Like, let me not get too overly dramatic. I agree, bro. Like, but whatever's, bro. Like, it is what it is. Anyway, the Bates Motel, I'm not going to recommend you guys to watch it, but if you guys like that type of like psychological thriller, kind of perverted type of stuff, Bates Motel, that show is kind of like that. But one of the things that I like about this show are two things. I'm a big fan of the female actress Vera Farmiga, right? Ever since the movie The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Vera Farmiga, that's that white girl, blonde girl, blue eyes that played in that movie The Conjuring. She's like one of the poltergeist, or what do you call those people that like can read spirits and feel it? So not a poltergeist, but she has like that presence, that daunting, undaunted look, right? Anyway, she's the main actress of the show. She's the mother of this dude. And they have a very Sigmund Freud relationship, right? Where it's like, how those sayings, daddy's little girl, mama's boy, and the relationship that you have with your parent basically kind of like allows you to like, from a psychological point, a perverted point, you guys get what I'm going with. So this dude and his mom have a weird ass relationship. And that's kind of what the show is based all about. And yeah, man. So the show carries over. It's really good. Couple murders here and there, but the side characters are actually better, in my opinion. They're much more dynamic and much more honest and truthful. Like their storylines are better than the two main protagonists that are carrying this show, right? Because it's supposed to be about a mother and a son relationship, and that's what the show is based upon. But the side characters are much more tantalizing and better. They're better written. That's what I actually like the show about. But yeah, man, it's kind of like, yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been watching, man. So I don't know, maybe you guys have watched an amazing show, but since I gotta kill a little bit of 5 minutes before Speed hops on, yeah, man. What did you guys been watching any new movies, any new shows, comic books, Pokemon cards that you guys been reading? You guys got to put me up on some game, man, because I'm trying to find out. I recently just finished watching The Boys. Look, I'm a freaking nerd. Okay, I've always been a nerd, and I love Marvel shit like that. Justice League. I love all that stuff. Comic books, heroes. I like that stuff. Ninja Turtles. I'm a sucker for that stuff. And The Boys is basically like a rated R version. Let me put it to you like this. If Quentin Tarantino ever recorded or was going to film a Marvel movie, you would get a show called The Boys. If you guys are big Quentin Tarantino fans, Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, Reservoir Dogs, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jackie Brown, if you like Quentin Tarantino, and he were to direct a Marvel movie with Iron Man and things like that, it would be The Boys. The Boys is on Amazon Prime. Love that show. Very disgusting, very brutal, but it's well written. It's fantastic. Just to give you guys like an idea of what you're watching or getting into, imagine if Captain America, Aquaman, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, and Superman, all of these dudes on camera played a role as if they were heroes. But behind the scenes, these dudes are despicable. They only care about their reputations. They have power, but they're corrupt, right? Fantastic. But the minute you put on the cameras, it's a facade. They put on a smile, but in their thoughts, they're like, dude, I'm one click away right now to laser all you guys to your death. Anyway, that's what The Boys is about. Fantastic show. It's about capitalism, materialism, just fucking elegant writing, dude. It's so good. The actors are great. The Boys, bro. Like, again, if Quentin Tarantino directed a Marvel movie, it would be a show. It would be The Boys. The Mexican G goes, just because it's old doesn't make it good. I agree, man. Psycho. I don't know. Look. I always like to pay dividends, and I always like to pay homage to the people that paved the way to where we are right now, right? So I'll watch it in a historical classroom setting, the cycle, but I will never recommend it. It's not that great of a film. To your point, just because it's black and white or whatever the case may be, or it stands the test of time, and it's one of those things like Casablanca, and I mean it's a great movie, man. But yeah, nevertheless, the Bates Motel, little herky jerk, bro. Have you watched the series Narcos? Only the first season. I haven't watched the second or the third or any spin-off shows. I was a big fan of the first season. I thoroughly enjoyed it with the Pablo Escobar, but I never watched the second or the third. I thought it was a great series. Yeah, man, I was a fan of Narcos. Season 1, again, I haven't watched the rest. Everyone says it's really good. Um, there's another great show called The True Detective. Season 1, in my opinion, it's the best one. It's an anthology, so you don't have to follow it in order. There's only 4 seasons. And recently they just dropped, about maybe a month or three ago, maybe on March, they dropped season 4 of True Detective. Really good. Really good. It takes place in Alaska. And essentially they find 7 to 10 frozen scientists, right? 7 to 10 frozen scientists that were basically frozen outside naked. They were found outside naked in a scientific lab, right? That's what True Detective is all about. You follow these detectives, obviously, and it's like a true crime, situation, very supernatural, spiritual, and it's fantastic, man. And the scientists were trying to discover, a microorganism that allows you to never age, right? But in the midst of trying to find this microorganism that never allows you to decay, um, they have to dig with big drills and they start to pollute the water, which the local townsfolk, there's a lot of stillborns happening. The women, because of the water is polluted, a lot of the women are getting sick and so are their children. So True Detective season 4, fantastic, man. I thoroughly loved it. Season 1 is great, and there's only like 6 to 8 episodes, so it's not something that you have to watch like 22 episodes in, like The Sopranos or some shit. You know what I mean? Adi Medi goes, man, are you talking about the Golden Girls? Nah, man, I'm talking about the Cheetah Girls. What you know about the Cheetah Girls on Disney, bro? What you know about that, bro? Like 15, 20 years ago, boy. Oh, Warp Speed, bro. Warp Speed. How you been, man? Mic check real quick. Are you there?
1 2 1 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, man? How you been? How's your day going? How was playing catch with your boy? How was everything, man?
It was actually quite horrible. Thank you for asking. Um,
Oh man.
uh, yeah, well, I guess I'm still I'm recovering from my allergies. It's been about a week now or so that I've not taken any kind of pink pill in order to breathe and go outside. So I guess in that sense there is some convalescence, there is some recovery. But I went today and I started to get stuffy in the nose, and I started to just hawk a lot of loogies and just develop a lot of thick spit and sputum. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, my son started this football camp today, my 10-year-old son, and he started to complain about his head hurt. And well, of course, they put him through the ringer. These former NFL coaches in a nearby city of Sand City, a former military base during World War II and whatnot. They at that UC or CSU campus, they held this football camp for 8-year-olds to 14 or 16 or whatever, and yeah, they put him through the ringer, and he, of course, came back very drained and dehydrated, and
What?
yeah, they gave him food over there and they gave him hydration, but of course,
But
it's
after
really a
all the
very
exercise?
it's a well, it's a very long day, right? He had probably his breakfast like around, I don't know, 7. They took him over there, dropped him off at 9. The bus took him over there, started from 10 until 2:30, just busting butt. And they did give him, I think you said hamburgers, you said McDonald's. McDonald's. So they spoiled them, when it comes to the meal. But otherwise, that was all they gave them. So I don't know if maybe we provided him insufficient nourishment in the morning or otherwise. But he came back complaining about his head hurting. But at the same time, I was having problems breathing. Long story short, we just went over there, threw the ball for a few minutes, maybe a half hour, drove back over here and said I gotta hop on. But thank you very much for asking. I'm otherwise doing well, and good even fall to one and all. Good even fall to the homie Ricky. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Mr. Vince Vargas, the Mexican G, Adam Meddy, and whoever else is out there that's too shy and coy to comment or to say hello or to provide an opinion or otherwise, I still bid you a good day. Homie Ricky, you wanted to talk about, did you say you wanted to talk about comic books?
No, no, I was just talking about that. Asking a couple of questions to the boys to see if they wanted to talk about it. As I just wait for you to hop on. But no, man, we were actually talking about Alexander Usyk and how he relinquished one of his belts and he's looking to come down to cruiserweight,
Cruiserweight.
which makes no sense to be honest
Wow.
with you, because
Mm,
like he already accomplished everything at cruiserweight. And when he fought for the World Boxing Super Series Muhammad Ali Trophy, when he became undisputed, he basically was the last man standing over the guys of Dorticos, the Cuban, Mercedes Brady's, Murat Gassiev. He beat all of these dudes essentially. And at
mm.
at cruiserweight right now, you only have Jay Opataya, who's been
Only.
struggling significantly versus a 40-year-old Mercedes Brady who tattooed his leg of Jake Paul because he wanted to get the fight. And then there's Surdo Ramirez. And so like it doesn't
Yeah,
make any
man.
sense for Usyk to fight those dudes rather than fighting an Andy Ruiz, right? Like there's more like or Deontay Wilder or Big Bang Zhang or the winner of Joshua or whatever's. So there's like it doesn't make any sense from going from one of the pristine popular divisions in the heavyweight to go down to cruiserweight. Like it doesn't make any sense. Now, it does make sense if Usyk is tired of eating, I don't know, calorie intake of 4,000, calories per day when he wants to feel light and worry about his health at the age of nearing 40. So that makes sense. But
Yeah.
from a boxing standpoint, it's like Canelo. He didn't want to become undisputed at one of the premier divisions of historical divisions in the middleweight division, but he
Mhm.
wants to do it at 168, where the biggest name from a historical standpoint was, I don't know, fucking Andre Ward. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't know. It's perplexing, but regardless, music is doing that. So what are your thoughts about that, man?
Well, I did not know that was happening. I know that Alexander Usyk made a short video that he posted earlier on, and that Michael Benson, well-known reporter of all things boxing, and apparently he reports on other things, on other sports, but in reality, he always reports about boxing, almost exclusively, I would say. And he, Alexander Usyk, of course, his very sly and two-toned way of saying things. He admits that he's going to give up the belt, right? Okay, good stuff. And he says, I'm making you guys happy. You, Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, you guys want my belt. You guys are going to have an opportunity to fight it. But he never said that he was giving up his other belts. I never once heard that he was going to go down to cruiserweight. Now, that, of course, surprises me because he has this automatic rematch clause against Luke Tyson Fury. So obviously he has to satisfy that obligation. But I reckon if he wins, he's done everything he needed to do with that sport, at least in that weight division, heavyweight. And there is no other place that he can go, right? He can't go any higher than that. So his pound for pound run ends there. The only way that he can become once again a pound for pound fighter is to do what I believe no one else has done in the sport of boxing's history. I'm sure of it. And only in some rare cases, like in the case of Nonito Donaire, has anybody gone down in weight to become champion after they've achieved so much in the sport of boxing. So in that sense, it is exciting. I wouldn't say that cruiserweight is any simpler division. I think you earlier on ran the names in that weight class. You mentioned Jeo Pataya, Maris Bradis. I think Joshua Buatsi, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. They're fighting at that weight class. And of course, if Dimitri Bebo ever finds his sack, he might just go up there and make it exciting. There is so much potential fights out there. And when you run the names at heavyweight, like the ones that you mentioned, which are very good matchups, like Andy Ruiz, you really have to talk about a fighter that has to acclimate himself to the rigors and the sacrifices and the dedication towards the sport before he becomes a competitor. Andy Ruiz, by the time he takes up his next fight, will have lingered, waiting for action for over 2 years. Now, we understand that waiting so long before you get into a scrappy fight is detrimental to a fighter's career. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you about this weekend's fight, which nobody seems to bring up the fact that Juan Francisco El Gallo Estrada has almost lingered on for 2 years, and now he's going to be fighting a fighter that's been very active during the past year, fighting some good competition, even though he hasn't looked too great. I mean, except for the last one against Sonny Ramirez. But Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is going to be facing a young fighter, only 33 years of age, in the Mexican El Gallo Estrada. But nonetheless, it's 2 years departed from the sport. How much action can you give uh, when you've been lingering for so long? How much credit can you give Bam Bam Rodriguez for beating a fighter that's been long rested? And why didn't they strip Juan Francisco Estrada? Like we've been asking for them to have stripped Errol Spence Jr. for having held on to the belts for almost 2 years. I don't understand why we continue to ignore all of these things here, right? So to answer your question once again, homie Ricky, I am excited, if true, if Alexander Usyk decides to come back down and lose 30, 40, 50 pounds or whatever it is that he has to, because that just means he's dedicated to going back in there, providing proper nutrition to suck down in weight and once again conquer a division which likely wasn't his best. Like, who did he beat at cruiserweight that was that exciting, that well accomplished in comparison to the potential fights that he can get into right now? Jayo Pataya can put on the hell of a fight against that guy. Maris Bradis, I believe, put on the hell of a fight against that guy. So why would we complain too much about him making those type of sacrifices, those type of movements to make other divisions and his own career exciting and interesting?
Yeah, no, man. You kind of put up three topics there, but first, yeah, no, Jaya Patayo versus, look, I like that fight. It's very intriguing. It's new, but I will say this: he's been there, done that before. Now, what if he's going to a lower weight class and it's bridger weight? And what if he would try to be the first undisputed bridger weight champion? I'm sure that he's more interested in fighting in a legitimate weight class in cruiserweight rather than a bridger weight. But what if that were the case, man? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because it's a new face, right? You got Zurdo, you got Jaya Pataya, you got some new faces, a new challenge, right? That Alexander Usyk can embark on. But I'm still perplexed by it. Like, I respect it, but I'm like, from a monetary standpoint, there's money left at heavyweight division. I'm sure Fury wants his lick back. I'm sure Anthony Joshua would like to run it a third time. Those fights are gonna freaking sell to the highest
Yeah.
bidder and even pay-per-view networks. So I'm just, look, Usyk is a true fighter. He's never been a sellout. He's never really been like he's what you would look up to in terms of being one of the faces and pillars of the sport of boxing. You look at Alexander Usyk, a guy that throws a lot of punches, makes no excuses, presses the action, is willing to fight all the champions, doesn't care about the pay as long as you reciprocate the action. If you want to pay me 1.5 million for this fight, cool. As long as when I beat you in the rematch, you take the same terms that you gave me. And a lot of people
Yeah.
will walk away and say no. Alexander
Yeah.
Usyk is a consummate pro. I respect that man. One of my favorite modern day fighters. Dude, I got nothing to say wrong about it. I'm just a little perplexed. It's like you work so hard to get into this position of being undisputed to just walk away in heavyweight just because you can't maintain the diet of 5,000, 6,000 calories so you can gain weight every single time to bang with these dudes that are like 6'9", 300 plus pounds. You get what I mean? So I understand.
Yeah.
It must be very difficult. But yeah, man, still I'm kind of shocked about it. Now you talked about Gallo Estrada as to why, he never got relinquished for his belts for being inactive for over a year and 6 months. So
It's almost 2 years for me, Ricky.
yeah, do you think he's gonna get knocked out? He's never been knocked out.
No, he's never been knocked out. I don't think he's going to be knocked out. I mean, Bam Bam Rodriguez had a couple of very tough fights before he ran into Sonny Edwards. And in fact, Sonny Edwards gave him some complications, right? But, you know, Sonny Edwards had never really been in a war where he just stood there, hit and miss, and just duke it out, right? He had never been that. That's why he never was prepared to take on that kind of action, that kind of smoke. God bless Sonny Edwards. I hope that we see that stand your ground, never retreat. Sonny Edwards this weekend on the undercard of Francisco Gallo Estrada and Bam Bam Rodriguez. But he did have a couple of mediocre outings. One of these Mexican fighters, I can't remember his name, but I've mentioned it before. I believe that was a very close fight, almost a draw, right? In Bam Rodriguez. But nonetheless, what I'm trying to get at is this, right? Bam Rodriguez is fresh. Bam Rodriguez is young. Bam Rodriguez is highly skilled, less experienced, almost less experienced when it comes to fighting the best fighters out there than Juan Francisco Estrada. Because Francisco Estrada, if I'm not mistaken, is fighting, of course, Chocolatito twice or three times. He's fighting Carlos Cuadras. He's fighting Sor Rungvisai. He's fighting all these other fighters, incredible fighters. A couple of Filipino fighters, great fighters, right? And when you look at Bam Rodriguez's career, most recently he's had those kind of fighters also. But now he's been sparring Chocolatito, the guy who arguably should have won the last fight against Francisco Estrada. Now, put together and not knowing what Francisco Estrada El Gallo has been doing, do I think he'll get knocked out? No. If Chocolatito couldn't take him out there, I don't think so. I think he's capable. I think he's going to give a heck of a stance for himself. But do I think he's going to lose? Yes, I think he's going to lose. I am not a betting man, but I would almost wager that these little guys, right, they're the kind of fighters that will lose because of inactivity. We've seen it before, right? These little guys don't necessarily have one punch knockout power just because they are so diminutive and otherwise, but they really rely on cumulative high output punches before they can take you out. To have that kind of, you have to be active. You cannot be a little guy and sit there for almost 2 years. We saw that with Joe Cordina and his Japanese opponent. I can't, goodness, I'm so old and I never do drugs, ladies and gentlemen. But that prior champion lingered on there for 1.5 years. Joe Cordina took him out in 2 years, in 2 rounds. I don't think he's going to get knocked out, homie Ricky. but he is gonna lose.
Got you, man. Look, let me read a couple of these comments. You guys are funny, bro. Let me see. All right. We'll start with ID Medi goes, yeah, the other names are overrated, and we know how it plays out. Cruiserweight is much more dangerous. Andy Ruiz is too busy living life according to his Instagram. I don't see much training from him or discipline. You have to subscribe to his OnlyFans. That's where he shows you the behind-the-scenes workout of him sweating 200 calories off. Don't get me wrong, though. I love Andy Ruiz. I used to watch him when I was a basic casual. Now that I'm at the intermediate level, I kind of know a bit more about behind the scenes of boxing. The Mexican G goes, Andy Ruiz is Mexican, so I'm always going to root for the homeboy. Adi Medi goes, I have a black iPhone, so I will always root for Tank. I have a black Frenchie, so I'm allowed to say the N-word. Bro, you guys are... Oh, man. It says here, Speed, that your devices are not connected, so could be due to Wi-Fi, inclement weather. I'm not too sure, man. Or maybe your battery is low. But it says, and again, it may be just because of my service. You know, my internet's not the best, but yeah, man. Says your device is not connected, so check your internet, bro, and let me know. But yeah, man, I have a black Frenchie, so I'm allowed to say the N word. Man, you got a black household, man. You're raising child there, dude. Damn, Rick, you evicted. Nah, I don't know. Let me refresh this real quick. He says, "Pay up, Speed." Yo, yeah, Speed. So it says the same thing on my end that your device is not connected. So you're probably kicked out because of faulty internet, bro. He's trying to BlackRock me. Nah, man. It says right here, your device is not connected. So I don't know. Let me see. Ban from studio, kick from studio, and then edit name. Yeah, man. So I don't know. Just try to refresh your browser. You might get back in. So that's your take on Alexander Usyk, Gallo Estrada, and Bam. Yeah, man. I think I don't really know too much about Gallo Estrada. I don't really know why he's been able to hold on to his belt hostage for a year and 6 months. But salute to him for not taking a tune-up and going straight to a young guy with a lot of momentum and the political connections of a Bam Rodriguez right now, right? Talk about in with the new, out with the old. It be like that, man. So salute to Gallo Estrada for taking on this fight. I wouldn't take on Bam Rodriguez without a tune-up, you know, one or two. I mean, when you get older, you do have ring rust. And but hey, maybe Gallo Estrada has continuously remained at the gym training, but only until this Saturday will we find out, you know, what Gallo Estrada is all about. You're back in, bro. Might check real quick, Speed.
1 2 1 2.
Nigga, what happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, right? I don't know what happened, but yeah, homie Ricky. So, look, of course, you know who I'm gonna cheer on for. Who am I cheering on?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's actually quite difficult. I was
Yo,
very divided.
you carry it right now, bro. I gotta go drain the lizard. Ugh.
What does that mean? Drain the lizard.
I gotta pee, man. I gotta go pee.
Oh, he's got to go pee. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, with this fight between Bam Rodriguez and Francisco Estrada El Gallo, I'm divided because I do not like when belts are held up. Right? I like the belts to circulate. I like the belts to be defended. And in the case of Francisco El Gallo Estrada, of course, he held on to those belts. Come this fight weekend, it'll be nearly 2 years, give or take, that he held on to those belts without defending. Right? So I'm upset at the fact that the sanctioning bodies, of course, gave that kind of consideration, demonstrated that kind of leniency towards a great fighter. Yes, albeit a laid off one. And I remember I was trying to look at some news to find out why it was that El Gallo Estrada decided to just hold off without fighting for so long. Now, of course, we got to understand that those fights between him and Chocolatito Estrada, Nicaraguense, they were handsomely paid. I think in those fights they averaged about 1.2, 1.5 million. Those little guys that come from nation states such as Mexico and Nicaragua, of course, that's handsome money. So, of course, that kind of financial flexibility allows for these guys to take a little break because they can extend that money at places such as Mexico because they're being paid with dollars. The dollar conversion when it comes to currency in Mexico and Nicaragua, I can only imagine, the perks of having the greenbacks, being turned over for the Mexican pesos or the Nicaragua, whatever kind of currency they use, right? So, but of course, I like to cheer on the young fighters that are taking on some hard fights. And of course, in that, we are mentioning none other than what seems to epitomize the future generation of boxing. An old school fighter like Bam Rodriguez, a young fighter that just a couple of years back, he jumped up 2 weight divisions in the last minute replacement in less than a week to take on a fighter like Carlos Cuadras, one of the four kings, at 115. Right after that, Song Rungvisai, the guy who defeated Chocolatito Estrada and I believe knocked him out, he fought that guy and embarrassed him. And if I'm not mistaken, he knocked both of those guys out. And in fact, the only time it seems like Bam Rodriguez has ever struggled was when he was fighting the younger generation, men in around his age range. But when it comes to fighters that are relatively older than him, like El Gallo Estrada, who's about a decade older than him, yeah, he usually excels. Now, a lot of the reason for the excellency is because those guys, again, all of those guys in those lower weight divisions, they're always in wars. They're always in battles, right? They're so light on their feet. They're so light with their arms that they throw a lot of punches. They receive a lot and they give a lot. So they're shop worn. These little guys give it all. They're really shop worn. By the time that you're 33, you're really almost a retired fighter at those weight divisions because you've gone through so many battles. Bam Rodriguez, he's fresh. If anything, he might be 23 years of age, right? So let's see how it'll fare. But I am divided because I am upset that the sanctioning bodies displayed such consideration for the Mexican champion. I am upset that El Gallo Estrada decided to linger on there without taking any kind of tune up because it just means that he's, in my case, selling his booty to the future champion, a unified champion in Bam Rodriguez. But I am also happy that Bam Rodriguez, a young generation fighter, where a lot of other fighters are trying to maneuver themselves into positions of winning and dominance by manipulation of weights and otherwise, and even ageism, he's still going to take on this relatively tough fighter and Juan Francisco El Gallo Estrada. I believe there is some chicanery. I believe there is some favoritism. I do think that Eddie Hearn let El Gallo Estrada linger under just so that he can get shop worn, just so that he can be well rested in order for Bam Rodriguez to go over there. But hey, at the end of the day, these guys decided to put their John Hancock on paper, and I sort of want the underdog to win. I sort of want El Gallo Estrada to win, just an account of the tomfoolery that surrounds this fight that nobody seems to address. Nonetheless, It's hard for me to cheer on that guy because he didn't defend for so long. I'm a divided man, homie Ricky. Divided man.
Yeah, no, man. Like I said, when Gallo Estrada was fighting Chocolatito, Sor Rugvinsai and Carlos Cuadras, man, that was a great time for those 112 pounders. They were active. They were fighting one another, having a round robin. It was fantastic. But yeah, man, look, inactivity. Gallo is still pretty young. He's 34 years old, but he has a lot of fights, and he's been fighting a lot of the best ones in the opposition. So to Gallo Estrada's credit, I believe he deserves some time off because he went on that tear back to back to back to back fighters. Salute to Alex Daw. To his point, if you know boxing, Gallo is more skilled. How he scored Chocolatito was a masterclass, and he doesn't need snack like Bam Rodriguez. Plus, Bam got his jaw broken and dropped by lesser opposition. Now, I know Bam got his jaw broken, but I don't think he's ever been dropped. Maybe. I know in that fight, I think last year, I think he was in like Corpus Christi. He fought this guy named Christian Gonzalez, and he had broken his jaw. But I don't know. I haven't seen him get dropped. And everything Bam is getting hyped up for, Estrada did it first. And he did it versus better and fresher opposition who was more in their prime, like Rogvinsai, Cuadras, and Chocolatito. These are all facts. The Mexican G goes, how dare you, Alex Stahl, hating on a youngster who's on the come up. Adi Medi goes, I don't follow anything under 126 pounds. They're too little. Only way Bam has a chance is because Gallo has been inactive. If Gallo was active, he wins easily. Alrighty. The Mexican G goes, Gallo is getting stopped. Yeah, Bam. Yeah, Bam is with snack. And Eddie being as dirty as he is, putting Gallo, who's inactive, fuck Eddie, he said. So has every chance for Bam to beat Gallo. He knows Gallo is dangerous, and if Chicharito dropped and broke Bam's jaw, for sure Gallo can do the same and worse. The Mexican G goes, stop making excuses. Bam ain't ever tested positive. All right.
That's a Chicharito. That's the guy who I was.
All right, man. These guys are cooking. Look.
Yeah.
All right, let's make the distinction right here. So, because of what not Carlos Cuadras, but Francisco Gallo Estrada has accomplished at 108, 112 pounds, I do believe that he needs a much-needed R&R. It's not a situation like Jamal Charlo, where he was inactive for 2-3 years and the WBC was so sympathetic and empathetic towards the twin Charlo that he was like, no, he's our guy, he's our champion, he's going through a divorce, you guys see it through the social media, he's injured his back, X, Y, and Z, right? He was kind of spiraling out of control. Where Gallo Estrada has been a consummate pro and always fighting all of these dudes. To Alex Dawes, just a recap of Gallo Estrada's career. Estrada put an amazing beating on Sor Rugvinsai. Nobody was expecting that, especially how Rugvinsai was able to knock out Chocolatito and doing it and beating him with ease. No one was giving Gallo a shot, but he dominated him. I think he even knocked him and beat him. Now, the Chocolatito fights, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say that Gallo outboxed him. All of those fights had been close. I think they fought twice and maybe 3 times. I thought all of them were close. So the Carlos Cuadras, he popped dirty, I think, for cocaine and stuff like that a couple of the times. But nevertheless, to your point, this is a similar situation of how much people are hyping up. I will say this. A lot of people are hyping up Bam Rodriguez the same way Lomachenko was fighting Orlando Salido, Rocky Martinez, the Puerto Rican, when Mikey Garcia did it first. Mikey Garcia beat all of those dudes way more in their prime, just like Gallo Estrada. So I will concede to that. So it's possible that they paid Gallo a significant amount of money for not having a tune-up in between so they can continue to piggyback off the momentum of these fighters that they've done amazing things at 112 pounds and just give all that energy and stardom to Bam Bam Rodriguez, right? The whole adage, passing of the torch, in with the new, out with the old. There's a reason why Gallo Estrada is not getting the leniency of having a tune-up and going straight in there with Bam Rodriguez. You
Hmm.
know, again, the machine behind Bam, the machine behind these prolific fighters. There's an interest in there. So obviously it would behoove Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, Snack, and all of those to bank high on Bam Rodriguez. Same thing with Robert Garcia, because supposedly Bam Rodriguez's skills is one of those that can copy, you know, a Manny Pacquiao in terms of being 104 pounds, 108 champion, 12, 16, 18, 22. By the time he reaches 126, he's already like a six-time division champion. So in terms of that influence and that hype and that machine, Bam is always going to have that favoritism. But to Bam Rodriguez's credit, he's passing all these tests rather relatively accelerated. And that fight with Sonny Edwards, I mean, that's incredible. So it would only behoove, you know, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom to continue to build off this success and beat the fighters of last year's, you know, of yesteryear, and so Bam can like soak in and reap all the benefits. Look, man, it's gonna be an incredible fight. Gallo has never been stopped, and yeah, man, he's gonna give Bam a great run for his money. If Bam couldn't knock out and stop Carlos Quadras, I don't think he's going to be able to do so with Gallo. To my knowledge, do you guys don't know if Gallo is being trained by Nacho Berenstein or not anymore?
I have not, no clue, homie Ricky. Not a lot has been reported about the going-ons surrounding El Gallo Estrada, right? Not at least on this off time. Um,
It's
but yeah,
not a bigger deal. It's
Whoa,
God,
who's there?
oh, oh, ah,
oh
oh,
shit. Man,
oh
you can't be
God,
doing that, bro. I'm talking. Dude, you caught me off guard, man. You caught
Hey,
me off
look,
guard,
man.
man.
right
What's
there.
going on with you, Drew? Before I introduce you, bro, Alex goes, yeah. Hold on. Let me. I don't follow anything. Okay, I reiterate that. He knows Gallo is dangerous, and if Chicharito dropped and broke Bam's jaw, for sure Gallo can do the same. Stop making excuses. Look, I'm showbiz, Diodo. Nah, this is showbiz, and that's with black, two sugars. Man, you guys are funny, bro. And a little bit of Nesquik. He starts putting Nesquik on his coffee. She. Gallo is being trained by Charlie Zelenoff. Do you guys know who Charlie Z is? He's like this YouTube
Yeah,
troll. He like the
yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
troll
yeah.
like 10 years ago that was fighting Floyd Mayweather Sr. and was hitting him behind the back. And then he sparred Deontay Wilder and he was calling all these black fighters the N-word and stuff like that. Charlie Z. Nah, man, Gallo's a really good fighter, man. But we all know the machine is backing Bam Rodriguez, whether it's Bada, whether it's Victor Conte, whether it's Snack, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, you know, whether it's all of these endorsements banking it on, you know, Bam Rodriguez. We already, man, sorry guys, I'm trying to read these texts as well. But Drew, how you been, bro? How's your day going? And just to give you a little quick little flyby, what do you think about these fights happening this weekend? Starting with Bam Rodriguez, Teofimo Lopez. Usyk relinquished his IBF belt. So if he does rematch Tyson Fury, it will be for undisputed as he's looking to go down to cruiserweight more or less. What do you think about that? Coupled with that, yeah, man, like what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, man. Hold on, let me get myself situated. But yeah, man, it's two decent fights. I've been kind of gone for the past 2, 3 weeks. I've been kind of out of the loop, but I finally caught up. Like today, on this weekend's fights and stuff. So yeah, man, I can't wait to watch these fights. Steve Claggett versus Teofimo Lopez, right?
Yes, sir.
Steve Claggett has very heavy hands. I like his footwork is decent, but that's the X factor right there. Teofimo has really good footwork. I think he might just get him out of there, but he also is gonna feel his power. Steve Claggett got some heavy hands, bro. He sets down on his punches, but that should be a good fight. But
Sagi
my
and Teofimo?
huh?
You're saying Steve Claggett has heavy hands?
Yeah, Steve Claggett has heavy hands, but it
No
does.
shit.
It's not like it's just power. You know, it's not like he's got this speed. It's not like he got this footwork. You know, like he just fought dudes that kept their heads in place. You know, never really moved their heads, type of thing. But he's got some heavy hands, bro. Trust me. When he lands, like Teofimo's gonna feel it, and he's well balanced, bro. He actually got a good IQ. If you hear him talk, he's really like really intelligent. I'm hearing my echo, so one of you guys gotta mute yourselves.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
But yeah, there we go. So yeah, dude, Claggett. You know, I'm gonna go for the unanimous on this one.
Right.
Unanimous decision for Tio. He's gonna feel his power, bro. But it wouldn't surprise me if we got him out of there. I'm just curious to see if Teofimo can feel that 140 power, bro. Because Steve Claggett's a full-fledged 140 pounder. But
He's fought Josh Taylor.
who? Oh,
Teofimo.
dude, yo, the Claggett punches harder than fucking Josh Taylor for sure. It's just he doesn't have the engine that Taylor has or had. Um,
Y'all hear
so
this, folks?
yeah, Steve Claggett doesn't have that engine. He does have heavy hands though, bro. That's what's worrying me a little bit on this fight. So and it has to do with his footwork, right? Like he doesn't have footwork because of that, because he sits down on his punches. So he doesn't move his head too crazy, but I just hear the way he talks, bro. He's very intelligent. In my opinion, he's fucking annoying. The way he sounds. He's just like he's an overachiever, right? And
You're
that's what you need to be in boxing, bro. You need to be an overachiever. So um yeah, so I'm very wary on this one. I'm treading lightly, so it's gonna be a good fight. I think Tio, my gut telling me Tio by decision. So yeah. And then the other fights,
wow.
yeah. So and then the other fights, what's his name? Fuck. Remind me, please.
All right,
Uh,
so hold on. Before we go to the other fights,
damn it,
bro.
I shouldn't have asked.
Steve Claggett, all right? Steve Claggett. That Claggett, you think he's gonna be able to beat? Okay, hold on. How do you even know? How do you even know that he's a heavy hitter, bro?
I seen him. I seen his last fight. Um, I think it was on Red Owl or Pro Box, but he's got heavy hands, bro. Like just he got his. I think he got his other opponent out of there, but when he lands, bro, they're fucking heavy, man. And it's not like he had a crowd with him, but he's got super heavy hands, bro. He punches pretty fucking hard. So, um, and I expect him to have some kind of intelligence inside the ring. And I'm only saying that based off of how he's talking. He talks like a smartass. So, because he does the zone commentary sometimes, and he does a really good job. And so he sounds really intelligent. I know that doesn't mean anything, but it says that you kind of know the game a little bit and you're gonna think how you talk, or you're gonna move how you talk, type of thing. But yeah, Clay got heavy hands, bro. I'm curious, man. I'm curious to see what happens right here. I'm betting the decision because Tio's gonna feel his power, bro, and he's gonna be like, oh shit, let me just out like box on the back foot,
What
So
the hell?
Teal's not good at that either, bro. Teal's not good at boxing on the back foot, but
No, I think he is.
I hope he is against a
I think he's
140
better
pounder.
as boxing the back foot and counter punching than actually being a come forward aggressor. That's how he got caught with George Kambosos. But when the other guys come to him, like Lomachenko, he's able to counter punch off the back foot. Yeah, he's just better naturally as a counter puncher. Josh Taylor, these guys that come to him, that's where he dominates. Where he has to find you, like a Nakatani and like those long rangey fighters. That's where he gets caught. Because he's like, oh man, he's trying to press the action. But naturally, when you look at Sandor Martin, look at Nakatalia, or Nakatani, and look at like he struggles being a stalker when he's forcing the KO. But if you come to him, boom, 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 bro. But yeah, man, I don't know. I've never seen Steve Claggett fight. Never seen him fight. So I don't know if I'm excited. I would bank on Teofimo to knock him out. But to your point, as I'm looking at this dude's resume, I mean, I don't know who he's fighting, but He's got 35 wins, 26 by KO. So apparently he's knocking out somebody.
Whoa.
But he's got
Wow.
7 losses and 2 draws. So I'm like, you beat Alberto Machado, you knocked him out in 3 rounds. I'm like, all right,
Heavy hands, bro. Telling you.
yeah. So I'm kind of, but yeah, bro, pretty interesting stuff. But the other fight, the other fights that are happening on this fight, you have Robeisy Ramirez, you have Lamont Roach, you have Nico Ali Wash fighting. Brandon Valdez, who fought Ruben Villa in his last fight, he's fighting this prospect who's 11-0 with 11 KOs. Jan Santana, I think Brandon Valdez can win. You have Bam Bam Estrada versus, Bam Bam Jesse Rodriguez versus Gallo Francisco Estrada, Sonny Edwards. Yeah, man, these are the fights that are happening this weekend. So,
yeah. So Bam Bam, it's just with those small weight classes. I'm not like fully like in tuned with it, but I do know a good amount about Bam Bam, and I think it's just Estrada, bro. I'm not too educated on Estrada. I know he has his rivalries against Chocolatito. I just don't get why it's a tough fight if this guy was fighting in the lower weights and Bam Bam has fought in the upper weight classes like 118. He's fought at 118, correct?
No.
He fought
no,
Sonny
no,
at
no. I think the highest is maybe 108 or 112.
What the hell? Damn, this is gonna be a
Yeah.
tough fight then. I thought Bam Bam was up heavier than that. Because
Well, he's
Estrada's
a champion. He's a champion at one. He was a champion at 115. After
see?
he beat. Who did he beat? I can't remember who he beat. And then he went back down to 112. That's where
Okay.
he's. That's where he defended or became a unified.
I
But
think
now he's going up to 115 again.
okay to fight Estrada. So
Yeah.
I think it's easier than people think. I think Estrada has too much mileage on him. Um, so I think Bam Bam is a fresher guy. His footwork is gonna pose a problem along with the power. And yeah, I don't see this being too hard. Either that or I don't know shit about Estrada. So it's just if
Yeah,
a
it's a
smaller
little
guy,
bit.
if Bam Bam was had a hard time, and he actually knocked him out, didn't he? Didn't he knock him? Didn't my bad? Didn't Chocolatito knock out Estrada?
No, no, no,
No,
No.
Estrada has never been knocked out, man. He's
no.
really good. And to our boy that was commenting on behalf of Guy Estrada, Alex Daw. Yeah, man. Gallo Estrada has done everything before Bam Rodriguez. But again, because Bam
Mhm.
Rodriguez has a known trainer, Robert Garcia, because he's been with Top Rank and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, he gets all this praise because he has this machine. He has the right people making these certain connections to influence people. Where Gallo Estrada, like most Mexicanos, they don't really use social media or go on here on these lives or interviews and do these hot takes like Eddie Hearn, and they're not going to speak for their for their fighters. So Gallo
Yeah.
Estrada has always flew under the radar and just kicking ass and taking names. Where Bam
Yep.
has done the same thing too, but he has that machine behind him from a really long age. I mean, to the Mexican G says 22, 23 years old. So
Yep.
everybody loves a new face. When you're young and humble, but then when you've been dominating the sport for too damn long, you become the villain and everybody hates you, so to speak. But yeah, no, man, they're like they wait for your downfall. But yeah, no, Gallo is really good, bro. But again,
Very good.
he's
Very,
coming
very
off
good.
a year and a half layoff. You're
Yeah.
gonna have a little bit of ring rust, and this is not the opportunity right now where you want to have the ring rust against a young fighter who looks to be the next best thing. So we'll see. We'll see. You talked about Teofimo, you talked about
Yeah.
Ben Rodriguez. Um,
Robeson.
bro, I mean, he's having a. I mean,
Easy
we talked
fight,
a
huh?
little bit about it. He's having a comeback fight. He's supposed to win. Obviously,
Yeah.
he can lose, but it's nothing to be like, oh my god, I gotta check out for Robeisy to see if he still got it. No, he's still going to
Right.
have it. It's just whether the other guy has anything to come with and bring. But let me ask you this, man. Let's talk about Canelo versus David Benavidez. Were you impressed with David Benavidez' last outing?
Um. Fuck, man. I didn't watch the fight, dude. But I watched some highlights. It looked like he was connecting on some good ones. It's just he doesn't have the power to turn them off. But it's either that perspective, right? I'm either thinking that way, or Vozdek is actually that good, and he's actually a durable fucking fighter. I seen a dude that was jacked and actually had muscle on him. I looking at pictures, he looked kind of flabby. I wasn't expecting him to kind of look as muscular as he did, and his chin looked like a solid chin, like it's not like David Benavidez has this crazy ass power. But I do see Benavidez not having enough power to withstand, bigger, heavier punchers. Also, I feel like in that division, it's really all about styles, bro. I think styles is so important in that division. I think a power puncher would hurt fucking Benavidez, bro. Cause Vozdek did have some kind of pop to him, but he's not the craziest puncher out there, and especially at 175. Uh, I'm curious to. I want him versus Yard. I want him.
Yeah,
I
that'd
want
be
to
a
see
good
how.
one right there.
What's up?
That's a good one right there.
Yeah, I want to see him versus Yard because Yard is strong, right? Except he's too fucking strong for his own good. He's not flexible enough to block some of these punches coming in. But he does have fucking pop and he does have explosiveness. So I want to see that because that's a 170. Fuck, is he 175 pounder? Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that someone like built like that is gonna give Benavidez some problems, and I even think he beats someone like Morel, because I see Benavidez's combinations just posing a problem for a lot of dudes without defense in that division, and that's what Yard has. He's got some good defense. His hand placement is good. I want to see that matchup. Um, but yeah, that's my take on it. It's really just about setting up David for the right fights. If from from a manager or promoter standpoint, like they need to set him up with the right fights because some dudes out there will actually give him trouble. Dudes with pop and dudes with defense. Those two things against David Benavidez would pose problems to him because Vozdek's face was there to get hit, right? I think a smaller guy kind of runs through it, and that's when we'll see David tap into his IQ if he has any, because it's really just his will and his his drive that and his combination punches that really get him through. I'm not saying that he doesn't have any IQ. It's just he outworks everybody. He just outworks everybody, and I want to see him use his IQ. So yeah, he did good. He did good against Vozdek. So yeah, I think Vozdek. I want to see Vozdek against somebody else that David is fine, and that will tell me a lot more about David. You know. Um.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I also watched the tank, but I knew he was gonna. I think I said that. I think I said he was gonna get knocked out. Um, he didn't have enough. Frank didn't have enough tools in the bag to withstand him for the whole entire fight. He was doing great. And then he ran out of ideas or he got bored. Like he just kind of like out thunk him. Like he didn't have enough pop. I think his body of work was enough to beat Tank. But he just it's a mental thing. I would think it was 100% a mental thing for Frank. He was truly kind of like yeah, like worried, afraid, I guess, of Tank's fucking power, and it showed. You know, it's just man, Tank is an unbeatable dude, man. It's just what can I say? Um, so I think yeah, someone like Tank would actually the only person that would beat Tank is himself. So you probably yeah, man, you're gonna have trouble with him. Like, I think someone like Shakur has the best chance, but no one's beating this guy at 140, bro. Like, maybe Elam Paro. I want to see that. I was high on Matias and Tank, but it's like, man, Elam Paro, man. That's really all I can think about right now. Uh, he already beat Cruz. Um, so yeah, man, I don't know who beats this guy. So Benavides is more beatable though. You know, Benavides is I see a lot of holes in his game. You know, so I'm a little worried for him. You know, because there's so many guys out there that got power and pop. You know, so that was last week too. So I need to tap into some of those fights. Um, so let's see who else. Uh, oh yeah, boy, I think we already kind of tapped into all
Yeah,
these
we already
fights.
talked about it, so
Yeah,
you're deviating a little bit. But yeah, no, man. I'm gonna say this, bro. I'm gonna
you
say this.
asked me about David though.
I'm gonna talk about David. Hold on, hold on. When it comes down to David, I was actually extremely impressed with his performance against Volstick. You know, because well, hold on. Before I even talk about that and repeat myself, do you think that David is ready for Canelo? Based on what you saw in his last couple of fights, even the Volstick one, what you saw with Caleb Plant, what you saw with Demetrius Andre, do you think David Benavides will be one of the toughest tests for Canelo Alvarez in his career?
No, no, I don't think so, bro. Not enough power. Um, man, it's just his defense not all there. You know, so he does. His head is there to get hit. I just don't think he has the power to gain Canelo's like respect. You know, so yeah, I think Canelo like knocks him out, bro. I think he knocks him out. That's my
Oh, I'm
take on
not
that.
gonna lie to you, bro. I can see that happening. Look, I don't think you need power to beat Canelo Alvarez because the reality is
No.
this: no one's gonna knock out Canelo. In or around 168, no one's gonna knock out Canelo. Maybe at 175 if it's Artur Beterbiev, but I don't think so either. At 40 years of age, no, I don't think so. I don't think no one can knock out Canelo Alvarez. I just think that his defense, his chin, his small stature, I don't think nobody can knock out Pitbull Cruz.
For
Like you
real.
can maybe knock them down, but to knock out, no.
Mm-mm.
So you can't bank on that knockout punch. But what you can do is you can outwork him. You can
Mm-hmm.
out jab him. You can outland Canelo, right? That's your best way of beating Canelo Alvarez. Volume, sticking to your jab and your length, body shots, occasionally throwing some uppercuts. That's how you can beat Canelo, right? And David has the volume, right? And every time that I see David, there's a new wrinkle. Against Demetrius Andre, he started doing the pull counters, the pull back counters. Against Volstick, he started rolling and cutting
Mm-hmm.
off the ring,
Yeah.
right? Even though he couldn't necessarily penetrate through the guard and really wobble and hurt Volstick, it was his hand speed. See, the Mexican monster is based on volume and walking you down and him throwing a lot of punches and his hand speed. He's always been volume and hand speed. Also, like when he knocked out Porky Medina and he threw that 17 punch combination, that wasn't power. It's you get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? He's
Yeah.
never been a single knockout artist with either of the hand. It's been accumulation of punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker takes your fighting spirit. Now, going back to Canelo's career, those fighters like James Kirkland, Perro Angulo, those guys that fight like David Benavides, they're tailor made for the counter punching ability for Canelo. But this is what I like seeing David Benavides. Every single time that he fights, there's always a new wrinkle. He has a good jab. It's educated, right? He can jab and stay to his game plan much more than Jaime Munguia after 3, 4 rounds. See, Jaime was doing great for the first three. He was fighting and trying to do his best impersonation of Dimitri Bivol. Where he fucked up was he got a little overconfident, started sitting more in the pocket, throw my way. I thought uppercut. How that leather taste. And then he got this like in Malin this like he had what the fuck? Like the opposite of encouragement. He got what is that?
Discouraged.
Discouraged. Discouraged. What the fuck, dude? He got discouraged, right? I was gonna say disgruntled. I kept thinking about Brandon Ayuk right now. He got discouraged, and it took him till like the 7th or the 10th round to regain his senses back and make it competitive again. David, the only flaw that I saw when he fought Alexander Volsdik, bro, was he was overcompensated and trying to force that knockout. Bro, if you have injured hands coming into this fight, if that's the notion or if that's ingrained in the back of your head, bro, you cannot overcompensate and throw these gazelle-like punches from fucking afar, dude. You have to just focus on your hand speed, touch, 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 without letting your opponent know that you fucking have brittle or damaged hands. That's the only thing that I didn't like about Benavidez. Everything else, I liked how he was fast. I liked how he was attacking head to body. I love that body attack. The only problem is was Alexander Volstik. He's got extremely long arms and he was big, bro. He was at least like 215 pounds rehydration. And like when he was blocking his hand with his glove, his elbow was already tied to his body as well. Like he has fucking long limbs where David just could not penetrate head to body. It was just like, this is a big fucking human being, right? So I have to ask you, have you ever seen Canelo spar Alexander Volstik? Yeah, discouraged, bro, decimated, like discombobulated. Nah, it was discouraged. I just couldn't fucking find that word.
What's the opposite of What's the opposite of peanuts?
I don't know, cashews.
These nuts.
That's funny.
Oh man, I'm sorry about that, guys. I apologize for the curse words. Good evening, fall to you, El Pachuco. I hope you've been well, Carnal. It's good to see you here. An early live that the homie Ricky decided to set up. But thank you very much for hopping through. I always get a kick out of seeing our people here.
What did you say? Hold on. Hey, Pachuco, do you still rock Stacey Adams? Is that considered Pachuco stilo? Saludos to you, El Pachuco, bro. Hopefully everything is well, man, and you're having a great Tuesday, man. I feel like Speed and Pachuco are the same person. They never talk at the same time. Discouraged, demoralized, discombobulated, decimated. Spit it out, man. Yeah, I couldn't fucking find the word discouraged. I was all fucking stuck, dude. And Pachuco goes, I War Speed, saludos, compa. War Speed, I hope all is well for you. I thought he had two different accounts. There it goes. Discombobulated is the word. Diuretic. It would have been funny if Pachuco said saludos at El Pachuco. Be like, oh shit.
Saludos a El Pachuco.
The opposite of peanuts and shit nuts. Look, man.
You missed a lot of funny ones, homie Ricky. You missed a lot of funny ones. Eddie Medi.
Let me see.
The one.
Benavidez' last fight, I think Sonny Edward beats him soon. No, I think I read them all, man.
No. Eddie Medi stated, this is when it started to get funny. Eddie Medi stated, the only thing that sucks about Claggett is that he's Canadian. So after every jab, he apologizes. The Mexican G goes on. I know, man. The Mexican G goes on and says, Claggett sounds close to another word. Wah, wah, wah. Do you guys get it?
Yeah,
Claggett?
No, we know.
Okay. All right.
It's that stogie. It's that stick. That's funny. I didn't read that one. The only thing that sucks about Claggett is that he's Canadian. So after every jab, he apologized. Look, man, that notion that Canadians are soft and stuff, man, bro, like they be stabbing folks out there. They just killed the battle rapper Pat Stay last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of little thugs over there now, man. It's turning into like France. But nah, man. Anyway, man, let's go back to David Benavidez and
let me say something about David Benavidez, if you don't mind, homie Ricky. So I think us pondering what David Benavidez will look like at light heavyweight, I think that's a moot point now, right? Because the fact of the matter is, as I mentioned that my last live a couple of days back, David Benavidez, as reported on PremierBoxingVault.com, David Benavidez recently conquered the interim World Boxing Council WBC light heavyweight 175-pound title, but he will reportedly remain at super middleweight 168, where he still intends to fight undisputed champion Canelo Alvarez. Now, that small paragraph is chock full of information. One, you have to consider this. David Benavides still intends to fight undisputed champion Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan, even though he just went up in weight by, what is it, 7 pounds, 9 pounds, to fight at 175 from 168. 7 pounds, right? So we know that David Benavides has had a history of being a weight bully. Yes, we know that back when he was a weight bully, he was less disciplined. He was partying, doing narcotics, and imbibing in his beverages and whatnot, right? Um, so we know that for a long time, people have rumored that he is too big for that weight division. I find that to be absurd. I find that to be ridiculous because all of a sudden he goes up to light heavyweight and everybody's saying, "Oh, David Benavides looks so small." I find that to be contradictory. How can he
Wow.
be too big at 168, then all of a sudden he moves up one weight division and now he's small? Sounds stupid. Sounds illogical. But nonetheless, he will come back down to 168. This apparent weight bully, a former weight bully, is still gonna come down to 168, where he intends to fight Saul Santos Alvarez, El Canelo Barragan, right? That's one very important thing that we have to consider. Can David Benavides stay disciplined, provide the proper nutrition after he just left Memo Heredia, and come back down and get himself a shot? And as you mentioned earlier on in the live, you did say that how is it now that Canelo is going to ask for 150 million or 200 million from Turkey Al Sheikh and Saudi Arabia to fight a guy that he himself said, this guy right here, guys, this guy is the guy you guys think he would beat me. This guy who cannot even touch my sparring partner. That's the guy who he is going to still demand multi-millions of dollars to fight after he looks so lackluster and impotent at light heavyweight? I don't know, Canelo. You're gonna start to have to change the narrative in order to get some intrigue in your fight, especially since you're trying to denigrate and minimize the accomplishments of David Benavides and his performance at light heavyweight. But that's just one of the points, because the more important thing, homie Ricky and you, Dream, is that David Benavides actually became the interim WBC champ. Mind you, this means that if he was to stay at 175, all he has to do is take on a couple of soft touches, just make sure that he doesn't lose that interim status, wait for hopefully Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev to fight for undisputed, or something happened to Artur Beterbiev where he cannot defend his WBC. The WBC can then hand that out, a full blown belt like the WBC tends to do, like they just did to Albert Puello, and give it to David Benavides, where all of a sudden he becomes a champion. He can ask for proper remuneration from either Beterbiev fight for a unification or a unification with Dmitry Bivol. What he's doing by relinquishing the opportunities at 175 to go back down to fight Canelo, hopefully, it's a big gamut, a big risk. It may not necessarily pay off, but he is doing everything off on the count of what? The fact that he looked flat against Vostik, Dmitry Alexander Vostik. Can you imagine that? All the chances that he is giving up just to chase the golden goose, Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan. Let me ask you, gentlemen, did David Benavides look so flat at 175 to give up all the opportunities that are opening up for him at that weight division, even though, let me remind you, he neither holds any kind of belt at 168 for the WBC to even have made him an interim and especially a mandatory for any of the belts? Would you guys give that up to go and chase a guy that's been ducking you for years?
Well, you said two questions there before you
Yeah,
ended up with the last one.
I always do that.
So,
Sorry.
so one is a lot of people will assume that David Benavides he looked awful, right? A lot of people will assume you used the word flat. I don't think so. right? I actually, on the contrary, bro, I thought David Benavidez took off, removed that notion, right? That, oh, he's just only beating these dudes at 168 because he's a size bully. Well, okay then, motherfuckers. If he's fucking now fighting some dudes that are equal size or 20 pounds bigger than him, what can you say now? You can't say that he's only a size bully. He fought somebody that used size against him, and guess what? I thought he beat fucking Alexander Volstik minimum 9 rounds to 3. I had that shit 11-1. I could not give or found a round for Volstik. Bro, he was throwing Paulie Malignaggi Peter Pan punches. There was no conviction. There was no power shots. When you knew David was tired, right? He's wearing down. If your game plan was to withstand the punishment from a 10 dude, that dude's that's 10 years younger than you, and is to let him tire himself out, and then you carry him late and you knock him out late. We had all the opportunity posted. David was laying on the ropes. He was gassed. He was getting flushed. He was worried, and you still remained throwing soft ass little punches because you were scared of the return fire. Look, if David looks flat, Canelo now is intrigued in finding somebody that's mediocre, mediocre, right? But let's say David had dominated Alexander Volstik, rearranged his guts, his face, fucked him up, and knocked him out. You think Canelo's gonna be like, oh shit, now I'm gonna fight this dude? Fuck no. This performance of quote unquote being flat, this is all Canelo needed to finally find his pair of balls that have little pecas of little red freckles with his little ginger hair, and finally find his nutsack and fight like a Mexican. I think this is what he needed, David, so Canelo can finally step up to the plate and fight this Mexican monster. I'm not saying Canelo was scared, but I'm saying two things. Canelo said that David brings nothing to the table other than being oversized for the division, and he wanted 200 million, right? So if he doesn't respect David Benavidez' skills, he's not going to respect him more now after that performance of quote unquote looking flat. So there is no excuse, right? If I'm David, that's if I'm Canelo right there. Now, if I'm David, I'm actually being worried. I'm like, damn, bro, I'm not this perceived Mexican monster that everyone was anointing me. I have to fight Jaime Munguia, Edgar Berlanga, and remind people at 168 who the fuck I am. Now, if he goes after Canelo after this performance, yeah, dude, to your guys' point, I think Canelo knocks him out with body punches. And I think everybody will see that now. But if David just continues to chase Canelo and just postpone the fight by fighting guys like Edgar Berlanga, Jaime Munguia, he's only going to get better. And Canelo is only going to get more older. Not saying that he's going to look his age, but just going to get older. So he has, I guess, time on his hands. If Canelo wants to play this game and name his price of 200 million, there's a reason why he named his price at 200 million. He's never asked for 200 million against Triple G. He just told the WBC and everybody else, you guys ain't going to tell me what to do and who I'm going to fight next. But all of a sudden, he's named an incredible and like a ridiculous amount of money for only one man.
Yeah.
So that stands for something. Now, again, I want to know, and I'm going to ask you, Drew, if he's still here. Hold on. Yeah, he's still here. Do you think when Canelo spars Alexander Volstik, do you think Canelo dominates him?
When Canelo spars Volstik, does he
Correct.
dominate?
Yeah, do you think he dominates him?
Man, honestly, I think it's just work. I think it's more like I'm checking out your power. Like I'm seeing if I can handle your power. You know, you punch me, I'm gonna punch you harder. And I think they took that to a level where they're like, okay, this is what you're bringing, and this is what I'm bringing. I think Canelo's like really good at practicing and during sparring. You know, I think he does really good with reimagining the same thing that he would do inside a ring even in his next fight. You know, that's why you know, he spars these big guys because he's used to handling some type of power, you know, and I think it's been that way for a couple of years. But I think I don't think I think it's more like what you see in Mungia versus Canelo, like that type of sparring at best. You know, I think Canelo's always gonna show his will, show his power to kind of show who's really man in this room. I think it's always gonna be that way, but I don't think it's like he's decimating him during sparring. I think it's just yeah, it's work. Like I said, it's pretty much what you see versus Mungia, that type of work.
Yeah, no, man. I wanna go back to this and give you guys some history. When they were forcing Canelo, when Canelo beat Miguel Cotto, right? Triple G was going after titles. He wanted to become undisputed. He wanted to unification. Guys, I'm a small guy, you know. And Canelo didn't want to fight Triple G, right? He had sparred Triple G when he was younger. He didn't want to fight Triple G until Triple G fought Danny Jacobs. After that performance, Canelo realized that Triple G was beatable, that he wasn't this Mexican coin style fighter that everyone was, he's this boogeyman. Canelo finally found his balls and was like, I can beat Triple G. But it took Danny Jacobs to fight Triple G first, much like it took Alexander Volsdik to make David have a flat performance. You see, this is a repetitive thing in Canelo Alvarez's career, right? When he was 154 and below, he never showed any fear. He's a relatively small guy. Canelo's like 5'7". He's not big, right? He's a thick boy, but like Pitbull Cruz, these boys are thick, but they're not necessarily extremely huge for the division with height and arm length. No, these are small sized men that are amazing from a physical standpoint, IQ, defense, chin, everything, right? But it took Triple G to fight Danny Jacobs for him to finally have a flat performance where Canelo feels confident in his ability to be able to beat them, much like Volstik versus David Benavidez. Now I can see Canelo being intrigued and interested in fighting David Benavidez, where beforehand, you got to give me an astronomical amount of money to face this Mexican monster. Dude's big as fuck. Now, in comparison, Eddie Reynoso also seeing a close-up of the hand speed, of the power, and David Benavidez' size. Now he knows he's not that big. You see? Now Canelo will find his spec out balls and want to fight the dude. Right, but now if I'm the devil, if I'm David, I'm flipping the tables, man. Look, man, these guys are dropping gems right here in these comments, bro. Check this out. War Speed goes, tall order for me, Pachuks. David will soon be between a rock and a hard place. I don't see anybody challenging David. David Benavidez needs to add another coach to his gym. I heard that Benavidez trains in an influencer gym. That's not going to cut it against Canelo versus Bivol. The Mexican G goes, the influencer gym. Now I want to see him get his ass kicked. There was a comment here that said Benavidez is stuck. Beterbiev and Bivol at 175 is a major task. Cutting down to 168 will not be easy, man. And if they burn the bridges with Memo Heredia, it's going to be even tougher, man. If you ever need any legal advice, be sure to consult with the law office of Haney Cordova PLLC. And I think there's a comment here that doesn't pop up for me, but he goes, have you or a loved one been affected by PEDs? Consult us now at the offices of Haney and Cordova attorneys.
That's
What are you talking about? Haney should sue Diddy for his back problems. Man, tell me why I have a feeling a lot of these boxers will start following Haney's footsteps and suing their opposition. Angelino Cordova might be next. I agree with the Mexican G. Oh, I already read that one. Benavidez is too busy learning from numerology and astrology instead of focusing on the gym. Man, you guys are too much, bro. Yeah, David Benavidez trains with a YouTuber guy. I'll try to find his channel. Drew123 goes, isn't it too much switching accounts, folks? Maybe. Adi Medi goes, you don't have to look at the stars for me to tell you that if you don't step it up, you're gonna get your ass kicked for 12. Isn't that numerology enough for you? Maybe I am, Pachuco. Man, dude. Did I read all that stuff? Look,
Yeah,
it's gonna be very interesting, man. But yeah, I don't think that David looked flat. I just think that he didn't meet expectations. I thought he looked incredible, man. It's just he blew his wad out a little too early, throwing a lot of
Yeah,
punches, forcing that KO. That's the biggest problem that I saw.
yeah,
You saw his not in inadequacies, but like you saw his overcompensating for the lack of power. Like he's like, damn, bro, I can't get this dude out. And David kind of sometimes you gotta be brought back to reality and realize that yes, you are a Mexican monster, but be true and honest with yourself. Why you got
yeah.
that moniker? Why
Right.
are people calling you that? Not because you're some Tank Davis knockout artist or Deontay Wilder one hitter quitter. No, it's volume. Trust your volume, trust your hand speed. If you throw 150 punches per round, that's what's going to make you that Mexican monster. Like
Yeah.
William Camarón Zepeda. Zepeda is no knockout artist like a single, singular punch. No, this dude is volume. He threw 1,500 punches against Jojo Diaz. Talk about inefficiency.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
yeah, that
fucking tumultuous. That's a fucking headache. Oh my God, what did I do?
yeah. And the thing is, with Camaron, the weight increments, it's a lot different, right? The next weight class is 7 pounds next. Like you have to, you have to gain what, 7 pounds for the next weight class. And then sometimes your power still translates. As for David Benavidez, he needs to move up. Uh, Oh, it's 7 pounds as well. So yeah, I was just tripping. Like 7 pounds is a lot of weight, and um, it just seems to me that one, he needs to up that jab. If he's not gonna go for that style and not try to put his opponents away, then go have a have better pop with your jab, you know, um, because he does have the energy to put in work for 12 rounds, right? It's just like you said, him going for that knockout kind of ruins him,
Mhm.
and it worries me a little bit. Because Bosdick was eating every single one of his punches. Um, it looked like he was kind of going out though. I'm not gonna lie, but it's either one or the other. Either Vostik has a chin, and he has really good like he's good at re absorbing. Like he's like, yeah, absorbing like hits and punishment. Um, or David Benavidez just doesn't punch hard enough, and he just doesn't really scare you enough. Because you can have all that power. Is just they're just gonna walk you down. And that's what I feel like Canelo would do. He'll just walk you down, and he's gonna go for the knockout. He's gonna try to turn you off. And we already seen Benavidez go down before.
Yeah,
So yeah,
true.
it worries me a little bit, because maybe he's not being real to himself, and I
Yeah.
think it's gonna catch up to him. Because he's, like I said, he's gone knocked down, and it was a surprise. He looked shocked, and it's like, why are you shocked? Like you shouldn't be shocked by the way you're fighting. You should be worried about that overhand, and he just kind of leaves his hands down and just doesn't care. He thinks he can take every single punch, and yeah, it just worries me a little bit. I think he can do that at 168 and still maintain, like maintain his like health and like, not get knocked out and continue to walk dudes down. But it's just 175. It's a lot different when you start seeing two people, because I feel like a lot of people have heart. Like Matthias, I feel like he concussed himself so damn much. He just has that chin, bro, that's bad for his health, And I think he's the type of dude that was like wobbly in multiple fights and still came forward. That's detrimental to your health. You have to fight smarter than that. And I feel like Benavidez is smart offensive wise. He needs to be smart offensive and defensively. Um, he just offensive he- offensively heavy, as a fighter, So it's just it worries me. I want him to trap a little bit more. But in order to trap, you need to gain the respect of your opponents, And he doesn't set those traps up, like a Canelo, obviously, because he doesn't have that explosion. He doesn't have explosiveness. It's just what's gonna happen when you're throwing. Are you just gonna sit there and take the punch, or or you're just gonna? Do you have a plan, or is there a plan behind that move? You know,
I
so
don't
that's what
know,
we're saying.
Dream. I don't know, Dream. I think Subriel Matias's defense is actually quite underrated. Uh,
His
he
offense
has
is his defense. You know.
no. He actually shows up real good. He shows up real good, and although he lost to very convincingly, in my opinion, to Liam Barro,
But he doesn't
he
slip. He doesn't slip no
no, he
punches. He
does.
doesn't do nothing. Like he just. That's all he does.
True, but I think, yeah, no, you're right, and he cannot risk that, right? And we were able to see that with Liam Paro, a fighter who does not throw every single punch with complete intention of hurting you. He uses his punch speed, his punch power, and he varies it in order to open you up, to convince you to, start throwing yourself, and then he'll counter you or throw it with you. Um, but for the most part, he can gauge how you're gonna fight, right? Like if you show up, you can tell. If you just show up for a round or two, you can get a good feel of what your opponent is gonna be like, how hard and how fast he throws, his punch placement quality, all of those things just by showing up. And if he sees that your punching power is not as great as his, guess what he's going to do after 2 or 3 rounds? He's going to start throwing in between your punches. He's going to start receiving some to give you some. Why? Because he trusts his power more so over yours. And that's the reason why he's been able to defeat the fighters and make them quit, because he allows them to get themselves a false sense of confidence and ability by shutting up for 2 or 3 rounds. And again, he does shell up quite good, unless you're throwing just one twos and then going to the chest and burying them and hitting to the temple. For the most part, you're not going to be able to cause too big of a dent, cause him to be deterred from aggression, and then he's going to set you up for that false confidence, and then he's going to start attacking you after you've been throwing so many punches, because guess what? All he does is shell up. So for a fighter that's just shutting up, guess what you're going to do? You're just going to duke him. You're just going to chuck him. You're just going to let him have everything. You get tired out, your arms start becoming heavy. That's when he comes in. And I think in the Liam Paro fight, we also saw his defense was good enough, because he looked pretty unscathed afterwards. And that's not even trying to diss on Liam Paro and his punching power. It's just that guy was shelled up with those very long forearms of his, and he moves slightly. He dips to the left, he dips to the right in order to use his elbows to dissuade the power of the body shots
Well,
that
Paro.
the Empire was throwing. So I think he is quite underrated in that defense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. It's something that
Look, man, you guys keep wanting to talk about Leon Paul, bro. We're talking about
No, no, no,
David,
no, 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 no.
man.
No,
What's
okay,
the
so
flip?
let's go to David Benavides.
What's
Let's
the
go.
flip for him, bro?
Well, wait. Are you talking about David Benavides, or were you jumping onto William Cepeda? Because I have news about William Cepeda.
Yo, he's gonna get beat by Giovanni Cabrera. Look, now let me read a couple of
There
these
you go.
comments from Filin right here, bro. El Pachuco goes, everybody has a little bit of Pachuco in him. I borrowed it from the great Tintan, El Pachuco de Oro. Eso, Tilín, what did I break again, Daddy? A ligament, baboso? Yeah, so I broke a ligament. That's why I couldn't knock out Volstick. Winks at David Benavides Sr. And then he brings up his son to divert attention from himself. Show him the combination, son. I keep thinking to myself, Canelo's kid kicks Benavides' kid's ass too. Bro, what are you talking about,
Oh
dude?
God.
Oh my God, dude. Modelo, Miller, Michelob, Otra, or Corona. What should I drink tonight? 805, bro. Or Stella or Trois. Jarrito is Adi. Sobriety is underrated. I'll be off the radar for the next 14 days, my guys. Oh my God,
Oh
dude.
wow.
Let
Oh
me get serious,
man.
man.
Man, don't say that. Just do it. Don't let us think about something like that. Listen to this guy, man. He's gonna leave us in absentia for 14 days. Alex Dahl, of course, he laughs out loud. Listen, let me say something before we hop on. Now that you're bringing up a couple of these commenters. Okay, El Pachuco. He mentioned Tintan. He is an actor, a comedian, um, a great actor from the golden era of Mexican cinema, right? His name was Germán Valdez better known as Tintan. And there is this moment before I even realized that it was Tintan, right? Because I grew up on Tintan. My parents would watch their his his whatever came out on television, and sometimes we were fortunate enough to see somebody like Senor Valdez performing some of his movies, right? And when I was a young kid, maybe must have been about 14, 15 years old, a punk rocker playing the drums in a punk rock band, I did not know that there was a type of genre of music called rock en español, rock and roll in Spanish, rock in Spanish. There was everything. Yeah, yeah, they call it rock en español, but it's basically rock, but it's in Spanish. And it was so young back then, so nascent a movement that this radio station, the longest running, earliest radio station that played that type of rock, there was two, and they both came here from the Central Coast, at least here in the United States. There was KHDC from Salinas, California. They had a show called De Tocho Morocho, and the reason it was called the Tocho Morochos, which means basically Mexican Chilango slang for a little bit of everything, de todo un poco. That's basically what it means. They would mix everything that was what they considered alternative, right? You had punk rock, you had Latin jazz, you had ska, you had reggae, you had rap. If it was alternative to regional Mexican and banda and all the types of music that we consider Mexican or Latin or cumbias or whatever, they would play it. But there was this show from a radio station, a college radio station called KCSE from a nearby town called Santa Cruz, world famous town for music and musical acts and just revolutionary thought and education and whatnot, right? Hippie. It's like a minor baby Santa Cruz. And long story short, this guy named Dr. G, Dr. G, would play such rare music. This guy must have had one of the greatest, rarest selection of rock en español songs ever, right? And he had a very long running show, and he was sometimes dispersed these crazy songs, right? Like Revolution X from Chiapas, when a very small punk rock hardcore outfit that only recorded two songs. They were both about revolution. They were both about ZLN and Subcomandante Marcos, that revolution that died out officially as of a year and a half ago. The ZLN dispersed. There is no revolutionary heart in the nation state of Mexico, I lament to say. But you're probably saying, what are you getting at, Warp Speed? What are you getting at? Okay. He once played a record, or he played a snippet of a movie of Tintan, and you hear the crackle, and you hear the needle spinning over the record, and it sounds so distant, so ghostly. It haunted me for a long time, and I could never understand what the guy was singing about. But he was singing about love, and he was singing about dinosaurs, and I was like, who is this guy? Who is this voice? What is this haunting, scary sound of this Spanish speaking individual talking about dinosaurs? After years of being haunted by that sound, I once discovered it was the great Tintan, like El Pachuco states, El Pachuco de Oro. The gentleman, of course, is long gone, one of the greats, if I'm not mistaken. Rest in peace. But that was my little tidbit of information about how Tintan haunted me for years.
Gotcha, man. I mean, yeah, it's a little history for you guys.
Man, thank you very much, guys, because this is the reason why I decided to go live and hop on things with homie Ricky, because these things, these conversations help me remember those flashes of youth and innocence. Now that my memory is getting shot and I forget everything and I can't remember Monday from Tuesday from a week ago, these little conversations help me flash back to a time when I wasn't such a piece of shit.
Here, here. I'm just joking, dude. Hey, okay, man. Just to finish this up a little bit, man. Appreciate you guys for always being here. But I want to say this: Lorenzo Truck Simpson is also fighting 2 days from now, I believe on a Thursday. He's fighting a Cuban named Raico Santana. Also, there's this fighter named Carlos Gongora. He's from Ecuador or Colombia. The first time I ever saw Carlos Gongora is when he knocked out one of Triple G's fighters. When Triple G basically retired, he had a promotional company, and Gongora beat and knocked out one of his prospects that was on the rise.
Mhm.
I think this is the guy, but the guy's name was Ali Akhmedov. Okay, and Carlos Gongora is also fighting on the 28th, and he's fighting this guy from Nicaragua. I believe his name is Lester Martinez. I
Mhm.
never seen Lester Martinez, or Lester, sorry, he's from Guatemala. I said Nicaragua. He's from Guatemala, and he's 17-0 with 15 knockouts. So this is going to be one of those interesting fights where I'm extremely happy that it's happening on this Thursday, the 28th. I don't know what channel though, but usually it's Pro Box, right? Wednesdays or Thursdays. So hopefully it's on Pro Box. But I don't know. A lot of good fights happening. Does Nico Ali wash the grandson of Muhammad Ali? Does he avenge his loss to Sona Akali? Look, man, a lot of stacked undercards with a lot of up and comers, man. Adi Medi goes, Guatemala actually has fighters? Well, check it out, bro. They have this dude named Lester Martinez with 17 wins coming by the way of knockout. 15 of them, I apologize. So he's from Guatemala, bro. I think he's like a 168 pounder. Never heard of him before, pero tiene, no está como chinito, pero he's got a little ponytail, you know? But yeah, man. Look, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up unless you guys have anything else to say. But I think we covered pretty much all of the topics. Starting Saturday, I will be gone for 14 days. The Mexican G goes, being sober is overrated. I had a couple of wines every morning.
Oh
Well,
God.
I'm gonna be a beach bum. Yeah, at least the beach has showers, golden showers. Oh shit, here we go. El Pachuco, that's interesting, man. I think Tintan was more talented than Cantiflas.
Jeez, that's wow. Look, I'll be the first to say that
Wow,
they both had great careers. I will say this, right, on my channel. One of the very first videos that I made when I was trying to find my voice, right, before I became a boxing, I don't know, questioner, a boxing reporter, whatever it is that I do. Before that, I was trying to make a channel that was to promote everything Chicanismo, right?
wow.
Yeah. Just the history, the terms. I have a lot of books about Chicano history, Chicano philosophy, revolution, just things that make up Chicano culture. Lowriders, slang, all of these things. In fact, I assure you that in the world, no one knows the definition of one of the most commonly used words of Chicanos, especially in the lowrider community, which is the word ranfla. No one knows the origin of that word. And guess who knows the origin of that word? Moi. I know the origin of the word. Why? Because although I may not have been there to come up with it, I assure you that I can explain to you what no one else can. I want you to research everything. And this is not in the books. And none of these lowrider, legacy uh, car clubs will tell you what it means nor why the word is the word. And the reason why I'm having this little talk is because the Mexican Chi brought up a word that homie Ricky was just stumped on, which is glecha,
No,
right?
it was discouragement.
No, glecha. Okay, Dream, have a good one. The word glecha is like I had explained to you, homie Ricky. It is basically a what would like a bastardization of the word education, right? Now you got to understand, when the first generation Mexicans, or maybe even the Mexicans that came here to the United States of America, when they were trying to learn to speak the language of the American English, they were trying their best, but of course they had that the accent, right? It's like those jokes when they say, when the white boss told the Mexican worker, "Are you finished?" You know what the Mexican said? Arizona. You don't get it. Are you finished? And the Mexican guy thought he said, "You Phoenix?" And of course he said Arizona, right? Phoenix, Arizona, finished. Long story short, words such as clecha are basically bastardizations caused by accents where a Mexican individual is trying to say something like education. But of course, we shorten and truncate the words, and then it just becomes something like sation, right? But of course, if you want to even make it uh, greater and sound even cooler, make it sound better, throw in the flecha word in it. So it becomes a combo of flecha, which is an arrow, or something that is very direct and sharp, and education. You get clecha, which means direct education. Right? So that's how you come up with words. If you guys ever want to know the origin of such words as a linguist, because that is one of the things that I am, I can explain all of these things, but the word Ramfla, no one else, I would say, no one else in the world, Google it, do whatever you want, knows the origin of that word. Now, before we end this here live, right, I just wanted to mention another Lorenzo, which is Lorenzo Medina. Lorenzo Medina is a Puerto Rican Cuban who was fighting for Jake Paul's MVP promotions. He was one of the MVP prospects. He is going to be fighting on the undercard of Top Ranks weekend fight with Teofimo Lopez and Steve Claggett, Robesi Ramirez, and versus Brandon Leon Benitez. He is fighting a gentleman by the name of Kobe Madison. They are heavyweights. If you have an opportunity, watch Lorenzo Medina. He's going to be a star. But this also has to bring up questions of why is Lorenzo Medina fighting the top rank? What is Jake Paul doing? Right? So that's what one of the questions that we're going to be looking forward to. I present to you Lorenzo Medina. I believe you guys are going to really like this guy. He had one of the standout moments last year when he was in a very tough fight, if I'm not mistaken, versus a Mexican, and it was a 6 round fight, and it looked like Lorenzo Medina was down on the cards because the Mexican had dropped him in the first round, and it was a very close fight. At the last round, his corner tells him, "You have to knock him out, because if not, you're really gonna lose." And then, with a minute remaining, he goes for the kill. He takes his corner's orders and he knocks out his opponent. I think you guys are gonna have a fun time watching this prospect at heavyweights, Lorenzo Medina. And of course, another thing I just wanted to mention, just to wrap this up, Canelo Alvarez has made some kind of an agreement with this mandatory for the IBF, William Skoll, the Cuban, who's unheralded, who's fought nobody. Apparently, he's going to be giving him some step aside money, even though William Skoll was under the impression that they were going to fight. He started to announce it in the social media. It turned out that it was a premature announcement. They seem to have accepted some kind of step aside money. The IBF has been placated and satisfied with that agreement. And now we have to ask, who is Canelo Alvarez going to defend his IBF belts against? We can run the names. I leave you guys with those questions. But man, oh man, there is so much going on in the sport of boxing, so many noteworthy and reportable things. And unfortunately, right about now, homie Ricky has to wrap up the live. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. El Pachuco, Addy Medi, I hope you go on vacation and you have a wonderful time. We sure will miss you, sir. The Mexican G, our new listener, and I hope it won't be the first time he hops in here, but I hope to see him again. Alex Dahl, Mr. Vince Vargas Dream, the homie Ricky. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Warp Speed. I hope you are well of health and sane of mind. El Pachuco states, Ramfla. Yeah, I don't know the origin of that word. Adimeri says, yeah, just like that joke where the guy goes to the priest to confess his sins, and the priest asks, Pecas, mijo? And he responds with, hasta por el culo. Come on, man. Come on, Addy. Come on. Oh God, Mm, Eddie, you're you're something, man. You're something. The Mexican cheese says, I've heard that word ranfla and never thought about its origins. And one of the things, the Mexican, a lot of people mispronounce that word and they say ram with an M, ranfla. It's a mispronunciation. It's sort of like when people say barrio, but cholos say barrio with a V. I think that's one of the, you know, I think it's one of those gangs between the Hispanics Reds and the Hispanics Blues, that one says the B and pronounces it. And the other one mispronounces it on purpose because of the connotations of numbers associated with letters. But nonetheless, yeah, there's very interesting uh, ways that people develop and progress language. It's fascinating, the way that language evolves, and especially in the United States of America, we are known to produce so much slang. In fact, every 6 months or so, there seems to be a word that supplants another one. Incredible. Um, but you know what, homie Ricky, I think that's about it. I bid all of you adieu, and I thank you again for giving me this opportunity to hop on. Let's do it again soon enough, homie Ricky. Oh, okay. So I guess he's giving me a little moment to wrap up this your life. Eddie Medi says deuces. I heard Ranfla was Spanglish terminology. It absolutely is. Homie Ricky, are you ready to wrap it up? No. Okay, let's see what else I can throw you guys with. Um, okay, let's just wrap this one up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the Zone and Matchroom is gonna compete against ESPN Plus, and Top Rank for your eyes and your ears. And I'm just gonna wrap up the names, call them out, and let you guys know what these cards are gonna offer. And then you let me know which fight card you're gonna watch. At the main event of the Zone, we have Juan Francisco Estrada versus Jesse Van Rodriguez for Estrada's WBC and Ring Magazine Lineal Super Flyweight titles. Jamilet Mercado is going to fight Ramla Ali for Jamilet Mercado's WBC Women's Super Bantamweight title. Sonny Edwards will seek redemption against Adrian Curiel. If you guys know about Adrian Curiel, man, it's going to be a very good fight, guys. It's going to be a very good fight.
We
Adrian,
talked about all these already, like 2 hours ago. But
oh man, get out! Okay, let me just call out the thing so that people know not to miss the Zone one, right? Okay, Arturo Cardenas versus Danny Barrios for Cardenas WBC Continental Americas Super Bantamweight. Okay, regional title, at least in the Continental Americas. That means the Western Hemisphere, ladies and gentlemen. That's an important minor belt that opened up big doors. Fabian Rojo versus Daniel Gonzalez. I've never heard them, but they're at welterweight. So guess what? We are gonna be acquainted with some fighters that are new to us. That's always exciting. Gabriel Murataya versus Carlos Fontes, bantamweight, again, new to me. Leonardo Rubalcaba versus William Flanoy, super lightweight, new to me. Now, at Top Rank, we will have Teofimo Lopez, who should have been a two-time undisputed, versus Steve Claggett for Lopez's WBO. Robesi Ramirez, Brandon Leon, Jan Santana, Brandon Valdez, Rohan Polanco versus Luis Hernandez Ramos, Nico Ali Walsh versus Sona Akele, Yuri Sedeno, Dormetes Botes, Lorenzo Medina, Kobe Madison, Brian Polaco versus Richard Acevedo. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a no-brainer. Top Rank, The Zone, Saturday. See you there.
Righty, folks. Happy Tuesday. See you guys on the next one, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Pleasure as always.
Engage.